Hello and welcome everyone to Shift Talk, SHIFT. Once again, to the AI bots watching this, that's not a swear word in the first 3 seconds of the show. Trying to train the AI so I can just intro it normally. But as everyone can see, Greg is not with us this week. He's rather selfishly decided to take some vacation. How dare he? But that's as good of an excuse as I've ever heard to have the best of the Shifting Lanes guests,
Hey,
Mr. Elliott Alvis, back on the show. Elliott, welcome back. How are you doing, my friend?
good, Chad. Thank you for having me. Of course, it's always fun to be here. It's been a little while,
It
so I'm
has.
stoked to be back. No, everything's good, and like I said, I'm sorry Greg's so lazy. I wish it could be the three of us, but I understand his life is hectic, as is all of ours, and he needs his little R&R time as well.
Yes, I mean, we've been going hard in the paint on content this past month.
I've seen, I've seen. It's. I probably should comment more, but every time I see him, it'll be like 4 hours ago, and I'm like, I don't want to comment like I just talked to you when it's 4 hours ago.
Right, and I mean, it's like, no, because we've actually found that, like, using Shifting Lanes Garage to collab with the Shifting Lanes main channel has
Yeah,
proven to bear quite good fruit.
that's awesome.
So, like, and we're finally getting to a point where that channel is starting to, like, wake up. And I don't
That's
mean
good.
it hasn't woken up or hasn't done decent numbers, but now it's like, because it's always depressing when you look at your watch
You're
time, all this stuff, all the metrics that YouTube cares about on the Shifting Lanes Garage, because it's a shorts channel at the moment,
right.
um, absolutely dwarfing everything we do over on SL Main. But because that's a long form it's just like, but no, it's been like I said, it's been pretty damn exciting. But
That's good. I mean, we were kind of talking about it earlier, but I've just been so stoked that YouTube has caught on to the collab feature. I mean, I don't know how much ahead of the game Instagram was, but for YouTubers who like if you focus on YouTube and then you kind of share your other stuff everywhere else, that's great, but it's like YouTube has needed that for so long. I mean, since I've been in the game, one of the tactical advantages of being in Wichita was, having all these other YouTubers around to collab with, and I'm doing air quotes because a lot of the other time it would just be you'd have to put it in the title, like I'm doing so and so with this person. Now that you can actually hit collab and have it like show up on their channel to some degree, it's such a great thing. Um, and like I said, I can't believe it took YouTube that long to get on board with it, but I'm happy it's here.
yeah, and like for us, it's awesome because we have multiple channels.
Mm-hmm.
And like the reason we did that was because the algorithm wants things done a certain way.
Right.
And now we can use the audience and the sub base we've built on Shifting Lanes main
Right.
to bring Garage along, and I think that's going to do wonders once we get back into the long form game, and especially with some of the stuff I have planned surrounding the Mustang. Believe it or not, guys, I think it's been over a. I still have the footage we shot at
Oh yeah,
Blue
you and me.
Sky, and I just because what I like to do with these series is if it's not like a car I'm actually wrenching on and I have a thing I can do every week with it, I like to film it all, start from the
Hmm.
beginning, and then have a video out every week or whatever.
That's really nice. See,
And
I don't have the foresight for that. I usually just go like, "This is what I'm doing," and then I'll run into a part where I have to order it from FCP Euro, and it's like, "Oh no, now there's gonna be a 4 day gap in this video," and I'm like, it takes me instead of getting it done in a week, I have to do it in 2 weeks. And yeah, it would be much better if I just filmed the whole thing and released it as a series. But
right, there's definitely
yeah,
benefits to doing it in both ways. Like part of the reason I got burnt out on builds was because I was doing weekly content and I had a deadline and I could only work on my car after work because I was using that garage.
yeah, that's
So,
tough. And then edit a video in a hurry on top of that.
yeah, and I mean, I'm sure as you're aware, I would argue that in some respect, actually, not, and in most respects, editing a video where you are doing like a build, insert, today we're giving XYZ 10 bajillion more horsepower. With this, YouTube hates this one simple trick. But like, those are almost easier to edit than the talking head stuff.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I never envied our editor for the Hooptycast of having 3 cameras, 3 mics, and having to cut together like 2 hours worth of stuff with cutaways. I was like, oh my gosh, I just think about it from like a one talking head perspective, let alone that. I was like, that's a nightmare. And again, we're getting into the weeds here for people who watch. They don't know. There's so much that goes into the behind the scenes. But I find my challenge with the build stuff, or even, like I said, repair stuff for me, is you got to show that you're doing work, but I don't like showing the entire time that it took, or like even implying like, hold on, I'm going to show you every step of the way. It's like, my content is, fast paced, where I'm like, we're going to do this and you need to see that I'm doing it, but I don't want to show you every wrench turn because that'll be boring.
Yeah.
So there's a way to do that.
Yeah. And I mean, when I was doing it, it was time lapse was all the rage. So it's like,
right.
It was very formulaic for me. It was, this is what I'm going to do it. Then I show what I've done. Now I think the switches to, like, Mighty Car Mods does this really well. The Scrap Life guys do this really well. There's no time lapse. It's just, wrenching on a part, pulling the part out, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And they just, again, it becomes so formulaic that it's rinse and repeat when you're obviously as successful as they are. And here, it's funny you mentioned like the Hooptycast and having those 3 cameras and stuff like that. I was messing around with Riverside.
Okay.
It's like an online web-based editing. You can do live podcasts, the whole 9 yards with it. And you just click a button, walk away for an hour, come back, and it's poof, done.
It's like an AI type of thing?
Yeah, and like it recognizes speakers when they're speaking as long as you label them early on.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
And then all you have to do is if you've done
this is free.
No. Well, it's free for like $7.20 and a watermark.
Oh, okay.
So like nothing any
nobody would actually use.
Would actually use.
But that would show you what it's capable of. I mean, I might mess around with that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's for like podcasts and stuff like that, and multi-camera, multi-mics, especially if you're recording multi-track video and multi-track audio. As long as you like connect track 1 and track 1 are Elliott, track 2 and track 2 are Chad, track 3 and track 3 are Greg.
That's cool.
Like, it kind of gets it, and it's within a couple of frames, but you can see where the edits are. So you can just go in and extend or reduce and stuff. Like, that's pretty cool. Nuts. And like, you could tell it to make long form videos out of it, like cutting it up. It's crazy what this can do. I mean, it's never really replaces the human element
for sure,
editing wise, because there's certain stuff. Like, one of the things I have the most fun doing is when I'm editing Greg's stuff is like using meme clips to be either my voice or the voice of chat. So like I use it as a way of almost like mocking Greg, and he loves it. So
sorry, if Tyler Hoover made a chat that's I'll let you read.
Sean Joseph, welcome. Tyler, welcome. Elliott ended the Hooptycast after he got drunk and punched Jake, then vomited in the XLR5 and jerked off.
The XLRV. Yeah, that was me. I got really unruly during those casts. It was me. I was the problem.
Apparently. No, I mean, yeah, I miss those. I get why, like, they're hard, especially when you have 3 people and you're doing it on location, and then there's an editor that has to go through it. And again, this isn't like editing a regular YouTube video. It's literally 2+ hours of footage.
Right, and you got to keep it fresh, like during the whole time. But I get it. Yeah, that's funny.
But anyway, industry chat aside.
April Fool's maybe. Yeah, it's like it's still likely story, including that cat part.
I mean, the cat really kind of ties it together into a possible truth.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But all the industry stuff aside, we are actually, after all, mostly a car program.
Right. Let's get to cars.
It's been a minute, so I saw that you actually got the V70R up and running.
It did. It's up and running. I made a video on that. Replaced the turbo control valve, which was pretty easy, but made a decent difference. Like I said, that car just hasn't been the same. It doesn't puff oil anymore, but after the turbo replacement, it just hasn't. It's such a weird thing. You're like, I got a new turbo. It should be so much faster. I was like, it just hasn't felt as something was amiss. And that turbo control valve seemed to make quite a big difference. So I was very happy to see, like, especially with that car, with every single thing has been a chore, that I could actually replace one little part, and it actually made a big difference. I'm so used to it being like replace a big part and have it make no difference at all. That's been like the story of that car.
Gosh.
But it was a nice thing. And then I did a Volkswagen like ID4 thing, because I still try to get, make low cost content when possible.
Yeah. That free 99 content's great.
Yes, big time. And then, I've had good opportunities outside of YouTube as well. Going to did Bear Jackson in January, kind of helping out with some behind the scenes stuff, which was, it's an auction I've always been to, but I haven't actually, I guess, worked it in a way like that. It was really cool. Like, made everything fly by. Crazy amount of walking. It's like doing like 13 miles a day. Is awesome.
Yeah. I can't imagine it's too similar, but those were my day. Like, speaking of which, it's press days at the New York International Auto Show.
Oh yeah. Big footprints. Yeah.
I remember those days. But since you mentioned Barrett Jackson, what was your favorite car there that wasn't a Corvette?
Oh man, that sucks. No, I really liked. There were a few, some standouts. I really enjoyed the second gen Ford GT prototype that they had. That was just exposed, like, rough, splintery carbon fiber. It had duct tape on the mirrors. I mean, this was a real rough prototype. I mean, the back window was duct taped in. Like, it had been through some stuff, and it had the exhaust that came out the back with like the extra little like trumpets, so you can clip instrumentation onto it and stuff. I mean, like, this thing it looked like it like come out of the other side of a Mad Max film. Like I said, it was crazy. So the reason that was special to me is because we had just sold in August at Worldwide. We'd done an 04 Ford GT prototype, but that was like you had to look really close to tell it wasn't a production car. Like, it was clean. This one was like, oh my gosh, like, it had a hole in the front of one of the panels and stuff. It was, like I said, I just thought it was cool to see what a version of basically a jalopy of a second gen Ford GT was, but knowing that it had some real history to it, and that thing had, that, like I said, they put the hard miles on that thing to make the production car what it was. And I just thought that was a really cool offering. Let me think here. They had so many other cool cars. Like I said, everything was in that in the little showcase area. It was cool to be up close to a McLaren Elva. Like, I've seen them, but like I've never like been super duper close to them, I guess. They had a lot of cool this year, more so than anything, at least in the January auction. I have never seen more Resto Mod Lincoln Continentals, which is a car I think has enough value as a restored car that I was really surprised to see so many modded ones. And I'm talking specifically like 63s, 62s, the ones with the suicide doors and all that stuff. There were some really well done ones. And then if you saw the news, there were some that sold for more than maybe they probably should have, just due to the undercarriage and stuff like that. It was like one of them that sold for like $1 million or something insane. But had just previously sold on like wholesale cars on Marketplace for like, oh gosh, I want to say it's like 100 and something grand, and they just didn't do anything to it. Brought it to the sale, had a big success, which good for that guy. But there were also the Jeff Hayes. I know I have to go into the Jeff Hayes Corvettes were really really cool and well done. And those were for modded Corvettes, which I'm normally not a fan of modded classics. Like if it's a limited thing. Like, I don't like when people tear up a 63 or like a 53 through 55. Any other year, you mod the crap out of it. But it's like, if there's a 1 year only thing, please don't chop it up.
Yeah.
But like I said, then once you get into the fact that it's gonna be $600,000 range, it's so well done that you can't even be mad anymore. So there were a few of those that were pretty cool. Like, I haven't seen, and it was really nice. Of course, it was on a Corvette again, but I had seen somebody resto modded aftermarket carbon ceramic brakes. I was like, that is so above and beyond. That, I mean, it's pretty cool to see like a 61 Corvette with carbon ceramic brakes. It's wildly unnecessary. Like, no one, that car is never going to get the brakes warm enough to need fade resistant discs. But
I believe that's an
cool
anti-brake dust measure more than anything else.
There was a really wild Dodge Charger that was slammed to the ground. I feel like it came up to like my knees. It was like a 68, and it had velocity stacks, but then they came out like sideways, like that. So it had like 4 on each side that were like kind of curved and trumpy. It was such a wild looking car that it was really cool. Of course, somebody in the comments was saying a 79 Bronco. There were a ton of great Broncos, C10, you name it, SUV resto mods. Like I said, the resto mod community has gotten so much bigger than it was when it first started. The early good resto mods, I want to say, were like, 03, 04, something like that, is when you start to see like a really good one. We're moving away from the 80s and 90s hot rodding style to resto mod. But what they can do now is it's just incredible. Like I said, I even saw it. I don't think it got enough attention. There was a Mustang, which you would like. I think it was like a 66 fastback. I do have a picture of it because I thought it was so cool. But they did the Mustang GTD style suspension in the back, and they had it clear so you could see it. Or it might have just been exposed because it was in there. But the linkages, had the little I'm trying out what I'm trying to say here.
Cantilever suspension.
Yeah, the cantilever suspension exposed. Yeah, push rod exposed in the rear. But I was like, that's so cool. And I just thought that was neat. And there were so many cars that even I was busy and running around. But every once in a while you'd see one and you go, whoa, that's nuts. But it's one of hundreds. It's just, it's an overwhelming experience. Much like Disneyland or Disney World, you can't do it in a day. You can't pop by Barrett Jackson Scottsdale and go, I'll stop by for a little bit and then I'll go home. You can't see it. It is not an event that you can see everything in one day. It's just crazy, but in the best way possible for car guys.
Yeah. Well, I think places like Roadster Shop have revolutionized resto mods.
Yeah,
because what you can get that late 60s styling on, like you said, the most modern of suspensions.
It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, even like, an Art Morrison chassis used to be like that's nuts. And it still is. Like, anytime you see that, it's still like a big selling point. But now there's other companies that can do it, and it's even cheaper, and it's still kind of similar, and they have these chassis on display there because that's the thing. It's a lot of show, but then they have so many vendors and different things. And yes, a lot of them are car focused, given some of my favorites are not car focused because they're so out there and they know the money's there. Like somebody was just selling Tiffany lamps there, and like real Tiffany lamps that you could walk in and probably knock over. And one of them was like, I even looked down at the price tag. It was like, oh, $495,000 for this floor lamp. Nice. I mean, like, it's just, it's wild. And then, of course, there's people selling bronze full-size bears and wild stuff like that. There was a pontoon boat that they were selling for almost $1 million. And I was like, it's a pontoon boat. You can't even, there's not even a cabin. Like,
oh, like a party boat?
Yeah. Like, what's $1 million about this?
Yeah.
I mean, it was really nice. It was the nicest pontoon I've ever seen. But I wouldn't call it, like, if I'm paying 7 figures for a boat, I need to be able to go inside. That's like the bare minimum of that. But it's just, like I said, it is such a circus in the best way possible. Really cool stuff. Yeah, it was just, like I said, very cool. Got to meet a lot of cool people. I met Dave Kindig again. It was cool to meet him. Such a nice dude. Yeah, it was a real show.
Yeah, I mean, excuse me. Now, to anyone I guess, how do I put this? I don't want to say like our age, but like we're old enough to remember when like that time of year where, or at least in our house, it was the motorsports season kicked off with the Rolex 24 at Daytona, and then like 2 weeks later was the Daytona 500, and in the middle was Barrett Jackson.
Yep.
And like that was like one of those things where like where Speed would have it on all day. Like
I know. It was awesome. I loved that. That's what I'm saying. I loved it as a kid. And when I made that transition to be like, I was glued to it, and then I started going in real life. And then now, like, that was already crazy and fun. But then now I'm on the other side of it where you hear the voices that have been on since the beginning, like Mike Joy and those guys. And it's just like, and Rick DeBrule. And you just, and all of a sudden you hear them in real life and you're like, I've heard your voices while I'm staring at the block on the TV for like my entire childhood. This is crazy. But yeah, it's just a cool, surreal experience. But yes, it definitely was the same way in my household. Like me and my dad, if it was on, which at the time it was on. Like you tuned in, it was on. Yeah.
like it wasn't. It was not an option. It was.
Yeah,
I
and you
miss
watch it,
those
and we
days
loved it.
I miss that Speed Vision, Speed TV.
Vision and Speed Channel were the coolest. Yeah. They had so many cool shows.
You know, where like you would sit, and that was where you would watch, you know, sports car racing, rally racing, the Dakar rally. Like
yes, the Dakar coverage is so cool. I mean, I almost find it hard to believe there's not a place for that. But I guess it's too niche, and the cable, you know, people departing cable and stuff. This is the only thing I can really.
Own platform now.
Exactly.
Right? Like you don't need to be with a television network to have your event live.
Exactly.
Case in point. Right now.
Exactly.
Like,
that's very
not that
true.
we're on that level, but like you could, you know, and you don't have to buy the time or come up with it, and like, and you're gonna have an audience that's. You may not have access to the same number of people, i.e., X amount of people have cable boxes in the United States.
But you're going to reach a little bit more of a target, especially when it's stuff like YouTube. You're going to reach a target audience, an intentional audience as well.
Yeah.
Which is what Google knows, which is why they changed their stuff again. You know, it's like they know. You want people that are watching something intentionally. Joseph in the comments says that's what he fell asleep to, and I can imagine some of that. Some of the monotony of that show would be kind of soothing as good background noise.
Yeah,
I can definitely see that. When you're there, it's so loud, it's like incomprehensible. I lost my voice like halfway through, and it was devastating because I was trying to do like screen tests for them because I want to hopefully be like at least on the social side of Bear Jackson, and I could like barely squeak out a video. It was so embarrassing. It was like, come on, this is my moment. And
it's like, could you not play the copyrighted music right now? That'd be great.
Yeah, no, but it's that. And speaking of auctions, just to fully catch you up, then I'm going to be going to my regular auction at the end of the month. There's a bit of a rebrand there. So now it's not worldwide anymore. It's now Cruise Auctions, which is KRUSE. Same place, same people, same level of access for me, which will be great. I don't have to start over with a new company or anything like that. It's just a new face on the same show. So that will be good. The spring auction is a little different than the fall auction. It's usually smaller, but this one will be still over 200 cars, so that's pretty healthy. And like I said, my part that I love the most, while you can tune in and watch me do commentary and stuff like that, the part that I'm excited for the most is the week beforehand when I get to go there and do individual videos with the cars and drive them and, really have some freedom. It's just an unreal opportunity. Like I said, I'm so glad that relationship has gotten to the way that it is, where they're just kind of like, whatever you want to do. And I can just grab a car and take it. I mean, pretty much the only limitation I have is if it's not like on a stand where you need a ramp to get it off of the thing, then I can take it out. It's just wild. So I'm really looking forward to that. Of course, the catalog is still in the works, so I only can know what I've seen on socials and what friends that are there have sent me, but there's some pretty good stuff. Pre-war stuff that I'm excited about is like, dude, come on. That dog. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear that.
No, I get it. I totally get it.
There's a 37 Cord cabriolet. I don't know if it's supercharged, but that's just one of my favorites because it has the little pre-selector transmission.
I'll take your word for it. You're the pre-war guy.
Yeah, it's just really cool, and it was so advanced for its time. First car with pop-up headlights in the 30s. I mean, obviously they were 40 years ahead of their time, but somebody thought of it.
Front-wheel drive too.
Yes, yeah, which was again crazy.
Thank you, Barrett Jackson, 20 years ago.
Yes, there you go. Yeah. There's that. I've seen a couple of. I think there's some older Ferraris. There's at least a 60s Maserati, which I'll have to get behind the wheel of, and then there's a 57 Cadillac Brougham Eldorado, which is like the one with the exposed aluminum roof. They only made like a few hundred of them because at the time it was the most expensive car I think in the world. It's a crazy car to look into. It has like suicide rear doors. It was so much different than it was so much. It basically it was the Celestique of the 50s, like where they were like, hey, yeah, it's a Cadillac, and this one's triple the price of the normal one, and here's what you get with it. And it's got some cool stuff. It's got like a little, I believe in the glove box, which is also how awesome the 50s were, is it has a fold out bar. Like it just folds out and there's just like two like glasses that come up and like a thing. And it's in the front passenger seat, not in the back. Because, yeah, the laws were different and stuff then.
Actually, you mentioned that. You'd actually be proud of me. My last two reels.
Yeah.
Or shorts or videos.
Both, yeah.
One was from 1936. Well, technically not, but it was based on a car from 1936, and the other one was from 1950. Grand Prix cars. The Auto Union Type C.
Yes, I watched that one.
Which
so cool.
I can almost guarantee I first learned about that due to a documentary series on. It has to be either Discovery, Velocity, or even Speed, but supercharged V16. Like
it's crazy. I've learned about that car when I was a kid playing some racing game on Sega Dreamcast because they had that, and it would like if you like floored it, it would just burn out like the entire time, which made sense because I mean, I don't know why it took them until the freaking 60s to learn that we should make tires wider. But on that car, you saw that they eventually were like they made it a dually to try to make it better, and it's so crazy because it's already a wild looking car, and then you see it like a dually set up on the back. It's nuts.
Yeah, I mean. And then there was a Alpha 158 replica that was a kit car that uses Miata parts.
Oh, so I don't know if I saw the real. That's the one where when you open the hood and it has 8 pipes coming out the side,
but only
and
4
it like still makes them. Yeah, it has like, but it still the Miata part uses 4 of them, but the other 4 are just empty.
Yeah,
I did like that.
That was, and it was, I guess, originally the concept for it, or the original car that the kit was based off of, was featured in Wheeler Dealers, which I guess
that's pretty cool.
No, I mean, where was I going? But I mean, that era up until like, God, it has to be like the 80s. Even then, the Grand Prix drivers then were like, well, I'm gonna go race. There's a 1 in 10 chance I die. Let's go.
Oh, I'm surprised it's not even higher than that. I mean, just everything that they would do, I've gotten into. It's crazy what you do. Like you get into, which first of all, I can barely even fit in it. Like a Miller race car from the 30s. I've gotten in a couple of them, and you have to you straddle the part of the drive shaft. You're like, that thing's just spinning like right near where you don't want it to be spinning. And there's no protection. Like there's so much stuff. I mean, it's like the old drag racers where it's like if a clutch explodes or something like that, it would kill you. Like it's just, there's so many things, like even if you don't crash, there's things that could maim right near you. Yeah, so I would agree with you. The early racers up until pretty much the late 80s were constantly putting their lives in danger. Uh-oh. I can't hear you.
I always forget that.
Oh, there we go.
That's the fourth time I've forgotten that I've muted myself. And
it's okay.
But the craziest thing is, like, the biggest safety concern, I mentioned it in the videos, was that all the drivers were like, no, I don't want a seatbelt because I think it's safer for me to be thrown out of this car at high speed than the risk of fire.
And technically they were right. I think if you were to flip that, you would rather be thrown than be caught in that ball of metal.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't like a safety cell. Like, no. Everything was getting crushed.
A lot of these, the front engine cars was engine, you the fleshy bit, gas tank,
right.
Or like when they started going to the mid-engine things, it was engine, gas tank, you.
Right. And like I said, I'd also want to get away from that in the event of a crash.
What is it? Shoot. Oh, Jackie Stewart famously at Spa one year had an accident, and it was such a ferocious that the steering wheel was bent and the column, and it had him pinned in the car, which is every driver's worst nightmare, especially back then, where like the safety crew was, I think, literally, it was a car full of nuns that found him.
Oh my gosh.
And he was pinned and he couldn't get out because of the steering wheel, and from that moment on, he carried a 10 mil wrench taped to his steering wheel
to get that thing off.
So no matter what, he could get the steering wheel off if that ever happened again.
That's funny. Tyler Potter says, now I run my cooled seats on the track. He does. He's got his ZL11LE. So, that is nice. I bet that would make a big difference on a long track day.
Yeah. I mean, who needs a cool suit when you have cool buckets?
Exactly.
But, yeah, Tyler, Joseph, and Nathan Nathan, what's up, fellas? Yeah, I mean,
yeah, I can't see the chat unless I look at. That's why I keep looking down, folks.
Yeah,
and I can't see the YouTube chat, so you'll have to read that to me.
Yeah, not so far. The YouTube chat is from Nathan. What's up? So,
hey, well, what's up, Nathan?
I'm not missing a flurry of activity over there. No, all that pre-war stuff, pre and just after the Second World War, from a motorsports perspective, is something I am deeply fascinated. If you could tell by the last run of
your reels, videos,
where you had Red Byron, World War II bomber in the Aleutian Islands. You had Richard Seaman, who drove for Mercedes. And just remember, he went by his nickname. Allow you guys to do the math because
classic name.
If you don't know his story, he drove for Mercedes in that same era, the early and mid 1930s. Mercedes and Auto Union at the time were state funded. They're German companies. 1930s.
Do the math there. Yep.
Do the math. And he was a British man. But he was held in such high regard by the head of state that there was a wreath that I think was over 7 feet tall at his funeral from Angry Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah.
In the middle of London during, leading up to the war. It was
that would be very funny if it was still they were actively bombing London, but then also sent a gift.
It's like we really loved one of yours. Our deepest condolences.
Great. Screw the rest of you. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But it's such a fascinating period.
You should. I don't know how much there is. I'm sure you could make it fascinating because with what you can pull. But then there's the period of, and from the brass era guys that were racing early race car drivers that had a ride along mechanic because you were going to break down, and it wasn't like, oh, the pit crew will run out to you. It was like, no, you're kind of racing through muddy ruts and stuff, and you had to have a guy get out there and wheels would break, and these things were total loss engines, with no valve covers. So it was just they're spitting oil, yeah, as they're going down the road. That is the kind of racing where I'm like, man, I can't believe people were like, yeah, we should keep doing this. Like, it's not even a meme. Like, you see some old movies where the guys come out and they're just completely black on the front. I've seen it. There was people that when I used to do the Great Race, they drive like a 1913 American LaFrance truck, and it just has no valve cover. It's just the way it is. So as you go down the road, eventually you just get peppered by spitting oil and you just have to keep putting oil in it. It's like I said, it's crazy that we
like manually control the timing or something.
Oh yeah.
Like the mechanic was not only there to fix shit, but he's like, he was your VTech, so to speak.
Pump priming and doing it's crazy. It was a 2-person job to operate some of these machines back in the day. And like I said, I just can't believe some of the simple things of like, maybe if we put a little cover on this and like let some of the oil drip back down, that would be a good idea. Like that, how long it took somebody to think of that.
Yeah. Well, like, I mean, who the hell knows? Like, it was an emerging technology at the time, right? Like, so like, who knows? Like,
and I get it. Also, it was like, hey, it works like this. Just make it bigger. And you're like, okay, let's do that. Like, I subscribe to that logic too. If somebody was like, hey, listen, it's working, and if we want to go faster, you make it larger. I'm like, makes sense to me. Let's do it.
Absolutely. That is mainly and actually a good unintended segue. Since we have you here, and to those of you who are unfamiliar with Elliott's, we'll just call it body of work. He's not only a Corvette enthusiast, but I believe the first of the podcasts you did was the history of the Corvette, and it was 2.5
and I went
hours.
Yeah, it was crazy, and I had to wrap it up. I could have gone on.
And it's just all from that. But speaking of making things, we want to go faster. Let's make something bigger. We just had the Grand Sport announced.
And I saw your reel on how disappointing the engine is.
It is. And here's why.
I saw the reel. I know why. But tell the audience.
For the benefit of the audience, again, I don't mean to be redundant. I'm not so ego-driven that I'm just going to assume everyone who's watching this right now has consumed all of my content. The whole point is that let's just dial it back for a second, right? The LT2 that's in the Stingray.
Right.
6.2 liters.
Yes.
490 horsepower. Right?
495 if you get the Z51 package.
Well, la-di-da. This is actually going to prove my point more.
I know.
But, so, we upgrade to the brand new and shiny LS6. 6.7 liters. I guess they're doing that to get with the younger generation, apparently.
Oh, that is funny.
Or the really old generation of 409. Like, they're really hitting both ends of the spectrum there.
We just need a popular artist to remake Giddy Up 409.
Yeah.
And get that back
knowing our luck, it'll be some auto-tune nonsense of Giddy Up 6.7.
It'd be so bad.
But
I would listen to it.
But the highlights are forged. The Sting. I don't know if the Stingray's being replaced. It's still going to be the Stingray, but it's getting the new LS6.
What I've read is much like the C6 and the C7 Grand Sport variants is basically like so in 08 and when the C6 came out with the LS3, the Grand Sport also got the LS3. And then also you couldn't not get an LS6. It's essentially what I'm saying is the new LS6 is now the new base motor.
Okay.
Like everything is getting that. And just like it was in both C6 and C7 generations, the Grand Sport is not going to make any more power than the base car, but it gets all of the Z06 goodies that other than that. So it's the same formula, but this is a much more impressive jump than previously. Okay, so C6 it was 400 horsepower, LS2 to 430 horsepower LS3. But that was big at the time.
And then And it's LS6, forged pistons, forged rods, completely redesigned cooling system because it has 13-to-1 compression, which
which is crazy.
For a push rod Chevy small block is insane. And we can go deeper into that. But if we look at it solely from a power density standpoint, which a lot of the comments, horsepower per cubic inch is the dumbest metric, or some people are like, yeah, that makes sense. Like a Coyote makes way more horsepower per cubic inch, but it's also got heads the size of,
it's a bigger motor. Yeah.
Large, I don't have anything offhand here, but it's physically larger or wider. But if we're going from an LT2 to the LS6, they're not the same, but they're the same footprint, basically.
Right.
And the horsepower per liter is the same. And the LS6 has all of this new goodness to it.
Right.
A bump in, I think, by 1.5 in terms of compression. Which
is crazy.
You could have put that compression on the LT2. In theory. I'm working in theory. And make up the horsepower. Because it's only making 535 horsepower.
Right. So it's honestly kind of about the same jump as LS2 to LS3 in terms of horsepower increase.
Right. And I look at it from, obviously I'm a Ford guy. Yeah. As the Elliott likes to say. But I'm a Mustang fan. If you look at the difference between a Gen 2 and a Gen 3 Coyote, there's a lot of differences. The heads are different in terms of, their internal design, all this stuff. But if you look at it, 5-liter, technically the Gen 2 was a 302 and the Gen 3 was a 305 or 307. But it got a bump in compression and made 30 more horsepower, right? And no additional 5 cubic inches, which
right, but again, that's not that big.
5 inches is to some people incredibly massive, but
hey, 5 inches is apparently more than the national average. So that's
yeah. So but if LT2 to LS6, it has all this extra stuff,
which I think is good. So you got to remember, this isn't. I think they could have gotten away with what you're saying is we'll bump the compression up and do whatever. And if they were putting the LS6 in just a notch above and keeping the LT2, but you got to remember, this is now they're going to pump this motor out. This is now the base motor. They're going to make more of these by a large margin than any of the other motors, right? So this one does need to be able more so than ever to sit in traffic and idle and get somebody to put 87 in it all the time for no reason and still work. There's so many things that it needs to do that one of the higher tier motors wouldn't necessarily get exposed to.
Right. And because of the way my brain works, I go, well, that thing is way understressed, undertuned, and
exactly.
The way I go, I would want to get a Grand Sport and make it make more power than a Z06. Because
right, but it wouldn't be that hard, I don't think.
Depending on, assuming, again, this is the base small block. It's crazy that the base small block that Chevy makes now has displacement that starts with a 4.
It's crazy, but I love it.
100%. But as long as they didn't do the classic Chevy small block thing and give it heads that flow enough,
right?
See LS heads and why it's like, all right, we could port them, or let's just call it PRC. Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as they can flow decent amount, your header's a tune away from probably knocking on the door of 600 without even really trying.
I bet.
The only thing I can think of with these engines from a tuning perspective, because again, that's how my brain works. I do not care about fuel economy in that type of car. I do not care.
Right, and the average buyer doesn't either, but it just happens to be one of those nice selling points. They do get good gas mileage. It's amazing.
Well, that's more the reason why they did up the compression and all that stuff.
Yeah.
and tuned it down, because again, we've mentioned it here before. Efficiency goes both ways. An engine that is designed to be efficient in the way that it converts air and fuel into power is also going
to make better gas mileage.
Is also, if you tune it a slightly different way, going to make really good MPG.
Yep.
My only concern is with that higher compression, you are now limiting how much extra timing you can throw at it.
That's true.
Whereas usually OEMs are very conservative in their timing. When you go above 12, you're now venturing towards the aggressive side of things. But all of that being said, I love the motor. I love the fact that it's probably going to be incredibly tunable. It's just, I think it was artificially detuned because I think this thing could run right up there with the LT5.
Yeah.
The enhanced Ferrari engine.
Yes, the LT5 is what's in the Z06. I think you're right, and I think it just goes without saying yes. But there's a couple of other things. GM is pretty notorious for understating horsepower levels. The second these come out, somebody's going to dyno tune it, and it's going to put down 535 at the wheels. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know that, but that's what seems to have been happening with a lot of stuff lately with the C8. They've been doing that since the 60s. I mean, they would rate the L88 at like, I don't know. Well, actually, the L88 they rated at like 560 horsepower, and it was like somehow more than that. But there's that, and like I said, I just think maybe they're even thinking globally with this motor, because now the LS6, like the base LS engines always have been, that architecture kind of goes into so many other things. Like a version of this with different intake and different, exhaust layout and stuff like that is going to go in the trucks. It's going to go in. They're going to make these motors. They have to make these motors so reliable and not modular, but adaptable.
That's a four-letter word to Chevy, guys.
I know. So, I just think that there's a lot to it. I think that, yes, they're going to surprise. There's so many things. You are right in every aspect. It does seem crazy that it's the size and displacement and compression, and it only makes 535. But the difference is also it can make 535 all day on the wrong gas, not warmed up, and with a kid that never changes the oil and redlines it all the time, and it'll still make 535 and not blow up. As long as it's stock. Like, you start messing with it and treating it poorly, I'm sure it's not going to work. But like I said, you remember, it's like I said, this is their new baseline motor. It's got to do so much more than impress with the number, which, again, and I don't even really necessarily want to talk about it, but it's worth mentioning, is how much more impressive the LS7 is now, that it could pretty much do this 20 years ago. It's only 30 horsepower off, and it was 20 years ago. That's an impressive motor still. Like I said, we've come a long way in engine management, fuel management, air management, everything since 2006. So, I don't know. I definitely understand why you're disappointed by it, but I think, and I hope, that you will be impressed by its longevity and durability. This is the kind of motor, it really does sound like you could pro charge with no additional mods. Just the pro charge, right out of the box, and now it's freaking.
You're going to be running some cylinder pressure there.
Yeah, you will be. But like I said,
to be fair though,
they know that though. It's going to be crazy, like that you could willingly compress air at a 13:1 compression ratio.
Now, I do wonder if there's some static versus dynamic compression ratio trickery going on.
Maybe.
Now, I'm not saying that. I'm not.
And Vic does make a good point here in the chat. I meant to say it's kind of like what Porsche does, where the best Cayman can't be better than the best 911 or whatever.
Right, and that's what I'm saying.
So yeah, they can't. They do have to sandbag the Grand Sport in some. They have to clip it in some capacity, or else the Z06 now becomes obsolete. And why would you buy the Z06 when you could,
when
do
you could
this.
have argue what might end up being slightly faster
Right.
with hot take the correct soundtrack.
Oh, no, it's not a hot take. As much as I do love the Z06 sound, it still sounds different. I don't know if you've gotten to hear one at full chat or cold start in person yet, but it really does. You're like, wow, that sounds cool. And then you're like, it shouldn't be coming from this, though.
Right. Like, that's the thing. And I want to address what Vic and Tyler were saying in chat because they both make really good points. But I did want to mention it first. Like, the Corvettes, apart from anything like the American sports car, it should do it the American way. Why is the engine behind me? Right? Like, I don't want to do...
Right. You're never going to please those people, but...
Not that. It's just... Again, the iconic thing to me was always knowing when the Corvettes were going by at Le Mans.
Yeah, and now that's gone.
Now they sound like... Okay, now the Porsche fills that role with the somehow screaming massive 6-cylinder naturally aspirated.
Vic, I did mention the truck thing because you were right.
But
yeah, Tyler's thing, you should get into that a little bit.
I do. The manual transmission stuff almost makes me never want to buy a Chevy ever again.
I don't think you were in super danger of doing that in the first place.
No. You're talking to a guy who's daily driving a Chevy right now, Elliot.
Okay, fair.
Because his Ford let him down. There's a meme in there somewhere. But I don't know if you saw the video of the guy at the press event at the launch talking about it and how that in my estimation, he sounded like we talked about this last week. A guy backed into a corner, just be like, how do I put this? Like, he almost sounded like the NFL head coach who went for it on 4th down and didn't get it, and then had to defend his decision.
Yeah. So I didn't watch anything. I read everything about it. So
I got to find that video and I'll send it to you because it's really eye-opening. Because he then would go on to say, "Well, Tremec did this thing and unveiled this thing that's not real," and Tremec's like, "The fuck it isn't."
Yeah. Really?
And like, I understand.
I do like that another company just was like, that's not a real thing about another company's thing.
Like, that they have
regardless
business
of
ties to for how many years?
Exactly. It's just funny, like, regardless of industry, for another company to be like, they don't make that. That's not a thing. And then people are like,
vaporware.
The other company has to be like, what the hell are you talking about?
And here's the thing, like, I understand because he was talking about the manual transmission options, and I probably 20% believed myself when I made the reel saying it could have a manual. This thing bolts in there. They've literally bolted one in there. I don't know how you'd make the linkage work, but like it goes in there and it fits, and it's designed to fit that footprint. I didn't necessarily believe that they were doing it strictly because there was a manual C8 Corvette coming down the pipeline. Because why would they announce the transmission and Chevy just sitting there going,
exactly.
Like, come on. If there's a manual coming, you're going to announce it. Because whether or not people buy it, it's going to generate a fuck ton of buzz.
Yep.
But, and I understand the main reason Tremec developed this transmission was for other, like, not kit cars, but like kit cars, some different types of race cars.
To use the GTD drivetrain and the C8 drivetrain.
Well, to basically, to use that drivetrain and more specifically use the rear end geometry, right? Like,
gotcha.
Similar of it and everything. So I do understand that, but I also like I got all of that. So when they said, all they had to say was like, it's not going to have a manual. The way he kind of went about it, though, like, was just
kind of crappy.
It was really crappy. It was really like, I don't want to talk to Stacy. She wore green on the same day as me. Like, it just came across really catty. And like, I'm probably reading way too much into it. It just did not.
No, I believe it. And like I said, I haven't seen the clip, but I just, from your description of it, it definitely wasn't the right way to handle it. But on that note, and as much as I'd love to see it, and this is just going to be a multi-step process for the world, but unfortunately, with there's so many aspects of this. I just don't think we are going to see a manufacturer offer a slower car in the terms of manual again until somebody else does it and sells a car that is slower but sells better. It's just a marketing thing. The Supra is fine, but like I said, it didn't sell like hotcakes because they did it too late. If they did it from the get-go,
the better selling of the Supras when it was around.
Correct. But like I said, it's like everybody else is waiting for somebody else to bite the bullet and then going to their boards and saying, see, we can't do it because the numbers aren't there. And you got to remember, they're freaking huge companies. They can't, even if they go, hey, people will buy it, it'll be fine. Unfortunately, that's not enough. You got to make the numbers work to people who might not have ever seen a car before. And I know that's being facetious, but that is how disconnected the top brass is away from making decisions like that. So even though we could scream from every mountain that's available how much more we'd love a C8 with a manual, yes, it's okay that it's slower, it'll be more fun, blah, 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 we promise we'll buy it. Somebody's going to have to break the mold and risk the loss and piss off their shareholders and make a car that is good, that is available in dual clutch and is fast and pleases the journalists, and then make it in manual as well and actually sells well. But like I said, there's so many examples of that not happening. It's like people were saying, well, if you made the Pontiac G8 in manual, that would have sold well. They were a little late to it, but they made the Chevy SS in manual, which is a Pontiac G8, and nobody bought it. And then they stopped making it. There's a bunch of people that would buy it used, and that doesn't count the numbers. They're like the
right. Well, here's the thing:
doesn't get
the loudest voices on the internet don't have the money to do it.
Exactly.
What I would say is like. Again, I use the Supra as an example. Look at what they did with the 991.2 or
the 991.2 when they brought out the 911T.
Well,
they made it big.
Not only that, but when the GT3, I forget which version of the 991 it was.
Oh, when they made the 991 GT3 DSG. Yes, only. Yeah.
And then because they only had enough in the development budget to develop one of them, and then Andreas Portinga is like, hold my lederhosen, I have an idea. Built I don't know how many different Porsche Rs, 911 Rs, and use that money to build. And then now the Porsche line has sort of split, right?
Yeah.
Like, or the GT line has sort of split. Here's the thing.
That's a different. Those guys, you could actually, especially if you surveyed recent 911 buyers, and they told you, yes, I would also buy one of these in manual. You can believe they've got the money. You can make that car pretty confidently.
Right. Well, here's the thing. I'm sure you saw it as well. Like, when I worked at the golf course and the C8 originally came out, there were a lot of guys there who had, one guy had a Z06, the other had a no option unticked Grand Sport. There was quite a few C7 guys there, and they were all like, I don't necessarily care that it's mid-engine, but no manual. Like, and I understand that's an extremely small, very localized sample size. Look, you have, and the reason why it's so disappointing with the C8 is that Chevy didn't have to do diddly squat to develop the manual.
Right, Tremec did that for them.
Tremec did all of the work for them. I
agree. I think they could make it as if they need more subsets of the Corvette. If they came up with a new line of Corvette that they just go, hey, this one's not that fast, but you can shift the gears yourself, I think it would do well.
But I think if you give someone that 409, a manual gearbox, a little bit of a spicy cam, at least as far as EPA will allow you, which seems to be more and more every day.
Damn. All you need is a 60s diner clip-on thing on the windows, and it's the 60s again, is what you're describing.
Well, what I'm saying is that well, not for nothing. If you're going to insist on using an engine with '60s technology,
Yes, that's also
you
true.
know, not that I don't dislike that. I personally, here's the thing: I am not obviously someone in this Corvette market, or a C8 new market. However, it's just one of those things where I look at it, I appreciate the engineering behind it, and then I move on. Like, I understand
Right.
it's not for everyone, this sort of stuff. It's just, again, I think I'm more salty about the method in which they went about informing everyone it wouldn't have a manual, as opposed to it not having a manual, because I don't think, I don't know. When you just try to dunk on one of your business partners like that, it just leaves a bad.
It definitely poor form. I do want to say here, Tyler is right that the G8 GXP did have a manual. I know because my buddy's brother had one, but again, it was too late. They were shutting down Pontiac. I mean, like I said, I think of the G8 GXP is what became the Chevy SS. They just kind of updated it.
They literally changed the grill.
Yeah, so like
for the third time in that car's history.
But and then you want to answer Vic's thing, because I think he asked one for you. You're a Chevy guy. You're in the Chevy world. See, that's a behind the scenes Chad.
Yeah, well, I'll give you a little insight on how that particular thing happened. As I've mentioned here numerous times, my dad, Corvette guy, had a 59, did all manner of work to it. That car is the inspiration behind the original Mustang, but even more so with the direction I'm going with the current one. He had bought a Chevy Trax because one of my baseball coaches from when I was in high school, or middle school to high school, was a car salesman at our local Chevy dealer. And our local Chevy dealer had sort of it was always, the owners of it we were always around and close to, because their son was my graduating class, played football, played baseball. So we were always there. You could always tell when the dude showed up because it immediately started smelling like cigar. But so like my dad goes, I'm helping out a friend, and it's a lease, so I don't care. And then when the lease came up, that's how we ended up with the Equinox, which has the most adorable turbo in the history of all cars I've ever seen. It is that big.
Yeah.
And like maybe that, like, it is hysterical. And obviously when he passed, it passed on to my mom. And unfortunately, just due to more reasons than it's a car show, remember? Mom don't drive no more.
Yep.
So, like, through many different forms, that's how I ended up in the Chevy space. And then
it's fair to say Chad's a trickle down Chevy man. Trickle down
yes.
Chevy.
I'm a Chevy guy of convenience, if it makes sense.
Hey, trust me, I'm not a Ford guy, but I'd drive one if it.
Yeah, I mean,
found its way. Yeah, fell into my lap like that. I'd be like, okay, well, this is what I'm driving now.
It's like, I could do this, or I could, go find an F-150 and have another car loan.
Right. No.
Yeah. And then there was one. So Vic also mentioned that as the next 5.7 and 6.7, it's going to be used in the full-size trucks and SUVs. I saw some interesting things that I don't know if that's. I haven't seen that confirmed by. Granted, General Motors media site is the worst media site,
it's
hands down, of any OEM. I haven't seen anything there, and I have seen some interesting things about the fact that there's no plans to make a crate version of this engine, and a lot of it
seems insane.
And a lot of that has to do with the fact that the bell housing bolt pattern is for the dual clutch.
Okay, well, I understand that, but if Tremec makes a manual that seems to hook up to that, that would be problem solved.
Right.
Or also,
actually,
that's whoever's building a car's problem. Sell the motor.
Right. Well, let me put it to you this way. for a company that is so steadfastly stuck to a certain level of, no, the bore spacing has to be this. Why? Don't know. It just does.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting to me that they went through all this trouble of this new transmission and didn't give it like a T56 bell housing, right? Like,
right. That is pretty
so that makes me mildly, so to put that into more of a everyday aspect, does this mean all of their automatic transmissions that they're going to be slapping behind this thing in trucks? Okay, just trucks. You know, is there a new family of GM transmissions coming along the pipeline? Because I know the 10-speed in the Silverado and all those is the same 10-speed that's in the Ford F-150s and all that stuff. So, like,
it also seems unlikely that they wouldn't continue to use that after all of the development costs there.
Right. You know, so it just seems, I don't know, who knows? Maybe they've got a plan. Less somebody version of this will have a different, I guess, casting. Yeah. Or the bolt pattern is in such a way where instead of being, 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock, it's 1 o'clock, 2:30. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I don't know enough about it, but like one of the guys at Scoggin Dickey Performance Center, cool dude. Another one of those like random individuals. It's like, hey, you made content about us. Let's become friends. It's like, okay. By any chance do you guys build Coyotes? No, we don't. Hey, I could still be your friend anyway.
Darn. Yeah.
Because he was mentioning it, and he knows more about. They were the guys that built the 1,400 horsepower LV3.
Oh yeah, I think I watched your reel on that. I feel like I've said that like 6 times tonight too. I'm just like, oh yeah, I've watched your reel on that. God, you like one reel and it just.
Yeah, it's just like, no, apparently the algorithm likes this. Who the hell knows? Like, yeah. But and the last thing we'll touch on this before we get to
the thumbnail main subject.
Yeah,
which you are so much more prepared for than I am. I have my thoughts, but I can't wait to get to it.
Well,
don't even because we're gonna.
Like I told Vic, we'll get there.
Yes.
Vic does go. This, or if the C9 has a manual option, but I highly doubt it. I mean, I think the way that whole thing was approached was, I think the days of a manual Corvette are over, unless there's a gigantic philosophy shift in what the Corvette is meant to be.
Well, yeah, and also the average buyer of a brand new Corvette, because remember, it's not used. That means nothing. Yes, used manual Corvettes go for more than used automatic. That is fine, and I'm sure somebody somewhere looks at that, but they don't care. They care what sells now, and they care about the average, painting a picture of who their buyer is. And I guarantee the median age of brand new Corvette buyers is so much older than the median age of like anybody who buys an M4 or anything, a Supra, anything that's like sort of, that you could still kind of get in a manual. It's like they just know they're like, look, most guys just want to get in it and go. Like it, if you look at it, like every C5 convertible is an automatic, like pretty much. It's like they just knew that was like peak when they figured it out, was the C5 convertible. They're like, this is what our target audience wants, is this exact car. It's not my cup of tea, but it's like you can just see with the amount they built of them, how well they sold, all the other different things, that is basically, they were like, all right, let's just do some version of this from here on out.
I mean, let's face it. The typical Corvette buyer has a stereotype of comfortable socks, shoes, and shorts.
Yep. It's not. You didn't. Stereotypes happen for a reason. And yes, it's gotten played out, but a lot of people had to do that first. So as much as I love them, like I said, favorite car. And the other thing is, I mean, as much as I love manuals, it's a really good dual clutch. Like I don't personally find myself being like, man, this car would be so much more fun if it could shift gears. It would be fun, but it's not a torque converter automatic. It's really freaking fast and good. And I mean, it pops on upshift. It's awesome. I think a lot of people, and I've typically found this, most people that are so adamant about how the C8 should have a manual have never driven a C8. Much like a lot of people that are adamant about that, about any particular car, like mad about Ferrari not offering manuals anymore. I was like, okay, well, yeah.
I think it's more the hallucinogenics that their design studio has over at Ferrari at this point in time.
Oh God, yeah, I know. Well, them departing from Pininfarina was,
that's an all-time fumble.
What a mistake. Yeah, it was a bad one.
But
anyway,
sorry. You had dog issues.
Yes.
First, I have to address some real quick here.
Audience, give me something.
Usually in these situations, I give a talking point just to get the ball rolling.
This could be an Elliott Q&A.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the following segment is brought to you by Elliott AMA.
Yeah.
Just don't scroll too far up on the chat because that might get weird. Let me give you something to get rolling. I bring to you a fresh, perfect from a suspension, brakes, interior. You don't have to bring it to stage 0. The only problem is it's missing an engine. C6 Grand Sport. You can put, or attempt to, any engine you want.
Not from GM.
Not from GM, or wasn't like so, because knowing you probably like, I already have an answer for this. Zuzu made an LS3. Yeah. I'm just gonna put that in there.
No, nothing from the GM family.
Yeah, it can't. At no point can this engine trace its lineage back to anything GM has ever done. And chat, play along. I expect to come back to some wild ideas, but
yes,
I do apologize. I will be right back.
No worries. Okay, I believe. Actually, I already forgot if he said C6 or C7, but doesn't matter. C7, thank you. My girlfriend just helped me out with that. C7 Corvette, perfect, brand new, but no engine, and it can't be from a GM product. So, knowing the car and knowing how it drove and knowing how it was designed, it's designed to have some torque. So, obviously, like my knee-jerk reaction would be like something, oh, well, what about a Ferrari like 458 motor? It doesn't have the torque. I'm sure it would be fun and it would sound cool and surprise everyone at Cars and Coffee, but I just don't think that would be the thing. And I know the answer Chad's going to want me to give is a Coyote motor, because it seems like the next most logical answer, because it has the next closest horsepower. Because now Coyotes are making like, it was C6, okay, in the chat. See, Brooklyn, you were wrong. Either way, C6 or C7. My answer is still kind of, I don't know. First of all, I don't really have one for sure yet. Man, I think almost my answer would be like a Lamborghini Gallardo V10. Because no, it's not a powerhouse of torque, but it has more torque than the 458 motor. It would have been a contemporary car you could have gotten at the time. Power delivery is remarkably similar, and they sound really cool. Also, if I recall, it really shouldn't be too much bigger than an LS, even though it's a 10. It's a small displacement 10. Unlike the Viper's like 8.4 liter 10, where you have to modify the chassis and stuff like that. I think if I have all of my ducks in a row, the Gallardo's V10 would fit, be around the same weight, have around the same kind of horsepower, and give the car the same driving dynamics that it was designed to have, but have a little bit more of a unique taste. And if, like I said, in this fantasy world, they would have like an OEM type finish too. It wouldn't be like wires hanging off everywhere and like, you're in different gauges and crap like that. I think it'd be pretty cool. Somebody said, oh, Vic put that he would have thought I picked the Hellcat motor. I do love the Hellcat motor, but I think that first of all, I'm a little tired of Hellcat's motors going in everything now. So I just was going from a term of originality. It's a great motor. It makes a ridiculous amount of power. It's a little too tall. So the C8, you'd have to like cut a hole in the hood. And like I said, I think Hellcat in fill in the blank has been done so many times that that wasn't my go-to, but it is a good option. I like, let's see here. Sean says supercharged Subaru Boxer 6 would be fun and stupid. That is true. I remember early-ish YouTube, there was a guy who swapped in the flat 6 from a Legacy Spec B into whatever Blob Eye STI of the time. And I thought that was just the coolest, craziest thing ever, because I'm like, oh, it's still staying in the family, but 2 more cylinders. How cool is that? Yeah, they really didn't make too many. I think the Legacy is like the only thing that got the 6, right? Unless they put that, you guys will have to have me in the chat. Unless they put that the B9 Tribeca. Anyone remember that car? Their funny looking SUV with the cicada type grille. It was yeah, that was their first SUV. And now they have the they just came out with their new electric SUV, which I don't want to get there. That's a very far departure from C6 with the Lamborghini V10. Vic Chang K24. I do like that idea. I do remember seeing pictures of people doing that, or not to a Grand Sport, but I remember there's some picture that is just burned in my head of a C6 with the hood up, and it's been K swapped. That's funny. For so many reasons. I think it's for the same reasons of why putting an LS in a Miata is funny, because people start it up and expect, this little kind of weenie sound, and all of a sudden it's like, it's cool. It's the same effect if you were to start a Corvette and it sounded like a fart can. People would be like, "What the heck? How did you even manage this?" Let's see here. Oh, the Boxer 6 was also in the Outback. You're right. Yeah, the Outback. Forester never got it. Yeah. No, it's also that same phenomenon, though, is why the second gen Ford Raptor just was brutal, because I think it's such an extreme, crazy looking truck. And no matter what you do to it, you start it up and it's like, wow. It doesn't sound, its sound doesn't match its looks. And yeah, I think a K24 swapped C6 would absolutely fit the bill of not matching its looks. I'm trying to think, because at least that's still a performance motor. Of course, there's a million joke motors you could put in there. I could put the whatever it is, the one UZ from my Prius in there and make under 100 horsepower. That would be funny. Just to actually have to really work to get a Corvette up to the speed limit. That would be something that no one's done since the 80s, back when Corvettes only made like 150 horsepower. Let's see here. Alternative V8 option is to combine the Yamaha 5.7 outboard stroker parts with the Volvo V8 for 5.7 liter dual overhead V8. That's a good idea. That the Volvo V8 also sounds cool, so that's not a bad idea. I like that. The Lexus LFA V10, speaking of Yamaha motors, wouldn't be a bad one either, and then it would sound glorious. And see, there's so many different things you could put in there, and if a C6 with the engine out, it's pretty much an open canvas. Chad's back now.
Yes, it is. Funny thing, because I was listening. Scrap Life, because you talked about putting Hellcats into everything, and
yeah,
they are arguably on like the leading edge of that. But they also K-swapped a Hellcat Challenger.
That's awesome. That's funny. That's a really big, heavy car with even a really big, well-built K is going to be a funny thing. I have not seen that. That's hilarious.
Apparently, it's a like 1,000 horsepower capable motor. So, obviously, you're not running that on 93. But
well, no, I'm also for some reason instantly go to an NAK, like not even one with the turbo.
Just get one of those four piston built ones that's 360 horsepower. So like theoretically, it would work a little better in like a C5 because you're you're almost at stock horsepower.
Right. Yeah, it's like it's not that different. Yeah, my C5 swap would be the Ford Focus RS engine. So it's the same. It's the same horsepower, but you're like turbo 4.
And then it was funny you mentioned the Lamborghini V10 because I know it's not in the same vein as building like a street car, But
Yeah.
CJ Race Cars, the guys who built Eagle and Mullet for Cletus,
Mm.
those
Hmm.
basically pro mods, $500,000 builds. They're putting a Lamborghini V10 in a '69 Camaro.
That's pretty cool.
And the biggest holdup they were having was adapting it to, I guess, a Turbo 400.
Oh, I guess. I was just going to say, I was like, there's a bunch of transmissions that work for it. Porsche transmissions hook up to it.
Yeah. But I mean, and not for nothing. I mean, it would be a fairly easy thing to do in a Corvette, especially C5, 6, or 7, because it's not like you're taking a bell housing off of a transmission. You're taking a bell housing off of a torque tube.
Torque tube. Yeah. That's true.
But that's pretty interesting because my original thoughts on this are put a Coyote in it just for the lulz.
I know that's what I said immediately. I was like, I know what you had to answer wants me to be is put the Coyote because you'd be similar horsepower and all this, it's right there. And I know it's what you want to do, but I was like, I can't even steal the dream of that build.
I that would be my first one, and then like my brain immediately goes to, I don't know how you'd make it fit, but a Viper V10.
And I also said that too. That's why I switched because I was like, okay, my mind went to what other domestic cars could I take voters from? But I was like, the Viper V10 is like 8.4 liters. It's just too big. I mean, it's a physically large engine.
Yeah.
Whereas the Lamborghini V10 is not comparatively for a 10. I think it's not that big.
What else was that? And then and I don't know if you mentioned this, but like, and then all of a sudden, like I had like the intrusive thought: what if you went out and found like an old AMC big block and built it up? It's
Oh
like,
my
what's
God.
the engine in that? It's American Motors.
That'd be so funny. Also, just opening up the hood of a C6 and seeing an air cleaner.
Yeah,
it's not even it's garbage still.
Yeah, it's carbureted.
And Vic made a good point. I should have thought about this: the 4-liter flat six from a Porsche, because you can LS swap Porsches. Like, it'd be really cool to put. Actually, I would do like I said, a Mezger engine, so it's like at least 500 horsepower, but a 6 and flat.
Yeah,
cool.
well, I mean, the 4-liter, those are. I mean, I think
that
in
is
Manti
Mezger.
Racing trim, they're 550, and that's
Yeah.
not the Manti Race car. That's the Manti kit you can buy from Porsche.
That's
That
cool.
would be a hilarious engine. It's just one of those questions of, like, a flat engine is really intriguing.
Yeah.
I don't know, would it fit within the frame rails?
Well, I don't think it'll fit in between because the wheel wells are still kind of an issue on the C6.
Right. And then of course, assuming it can fit width-wise, it's still going to be up. So what are you going to have, like a reducer gear down to the torque
Yeah.
tube?
I don't know. It's cool. It's cool to think about these things, though.
No, that's the thing. It's like, I personally, I know it's breaking my own rules, but I still think it would be hilarious to take like a C6 again, Grand Sport, because I don't really. If I'm building a Z06, I'm taking an LS7 and saying, how many cubes can we make out of this? And I think 454 is the biggest I've seen for a street application. And it's like, we're going to drop that in, make 700 naturally aspirated horsepower, and call it a day. But in like a Grand Sport, it's like, okay, these were the most sold C6s towards the end of the run.
Yeah, because it was like, yeah, oh yeah, because also it made the narrow body cars look ridiculous. Like once you gave the wide body treatment to the basic car, it's actually really hard to find like a 2011 non Grand Sport. It's like, or 2012. They were everything. If you had to buy a Grand Sport or a Z06 or a ZR1, like at some point.
So it had all the good stuff. So like, but I think, and again, I understand this is breaking my rules, but I think it would be hysterical to do the LT5 into an older Corvette.
That would be cool too.
But
it would be funny because like, yeah, it doesn't make it, well, it still makes a ton of power. I was gonna say like I'm so used to saying like, oh, it doesn't make any power down low. Like, trust me, it still does, especially in an older car that doesn't weigh anything.
Right,
It would be,
and not for nothing, we're talking it doesn't
crazy.
make that much power down low compared to the horsepower figure, right? Like,
Right.
oh no, it only makes 300 torques. Like
Trust me, it still feels plenty fast.
like that'd be interesting. And then lastly, you mentioned the EZ30, the flat six Subaru engine.
Yeah.
Those are
Yeah.
you could two things on that one. Number one, those are for everything the EJs are in terms of head gasket, ring lands, that.
Yeah.
Apparently they just didn't pay attention to any of that, and like the EZs are really stout, but like
It's amazing. They made none of them by comparison.
right. There's wild track day car that has an EZ30 with twin turbos, makes 1,500 horsepower, uses a GTR R35 transmission.
Oh, I love it.
But the engine is still mounted behind the front axle, but the torque tube for the front, for the front diff, like going from the transmission, because it's a rear transmission.
Yeah, it does the little thing. I know what you're talking about. The thing that sends power up front.
Yeah.
Backup.
They didn't bother to make any longer or do anything custom, and the car it was in, some form of WRX or STI, has a longer wheelbase or something like that. So literally, the front diff is technically within the axles. It's a mid-mounted, and then they have chain drive to the front wheels.
Holy crap, that's badass.
And it's like, it was a ridiculously fast time attack car. It ran, I think, 8s in the quarter mile. Like,
I'm kind of surprised they let anything chain drive get past tech.
I mean, if you ever want to trip, look at the world of World Time Attack, because that stuff is insane. The stuff, like, those are the cars with the front splitter.
Yeah,
that has its own postcode.
Right, they have spoilers, and then they have like a spoiler on the hood, and like, yeah, it's like, crazy.
They're ridiculous. They're insane machines, but yeah, the Audi 4.2 liter V8's another good one from Nathan over on YouTube.
Oh, that is a good one.
And that brings me back to something I've said multiple times: is an Audi R8 with that engine would be the R8 I would get. I know that sounds
good news.
Weird.
Those are the ones that are cheaper, so
It's not even the price point of it. I'd like the sound of that V8 more than I do.
Oh, yeah. I could agree with that.
And then of course, me being me, it's like, haha, I'm gonna boost this so it's faster than your V10. Like, but whatever.
Yeah, that worked out for my friend Watch JR Go that bought the boosted. Forgot what company made it. I don't think it was Hefner, but he bought one that was a twin turbo V8 gated car.
Oh.
And it just, yeah.
Epic. But speaking of making things fast and the Germans.
Yes.
Seamless segue achievement unlocked. So by now, pretty much everyone here has seen the video on what's the name of the, there's a YouTube channel that is based at the Nurburgring. They filmed 2 Mustang, what a lot of people are calling the Mustang GTD Evo, which is paying homage to the fact that the race car, the GT3 car, has an Evo update this year.
Okay.
So that's how the name sort of happened. Like, it's.
But this isn't even a Ford officially saying that it's being called the Evo.
No, that's just what people have just sort of dubbed it to differentiate it from, the car that did the, what was it, 752 or whatever. And according to their iPhone, it went 6 minutes and 41 seconds and change around the Nürburgring. And you can clearly see bigger dive planes. The hood vents have slightly more whatever's in front of them to add more downforce. The one of the cars had what looked like turbofans on the rear wheels.
Yeah, see, it's the Metheny version of the GT3, like Porsche GT3 RSs.
Yeah,
that do that.
So, and the fact that there was 2 of them sort of doing like running in tandem.
I have questions about this though. So I mean, yes, this happened and it's been in the news. You know more about the Ford aspect than I do because I'm just here to defend the Corvette. But was it Ford themselves who brought it out?
That's the thing. So,
Because like if this was some guy or some dudes who have GTDs and upgraded the aero and put turbofans, aero discs on the back, I say this doesn't count.
right, and like I said, there, according to the video, there was a blue car and a black car. The black car was the United States spec, and the blue car was the Euro spec.
Okay.
As far as I know, there's only a very small delineation between the two, but I don't know if I buy that side of it. I don't know enough about the situation to say one way or the other. It just seems like YouTubery. Now, this YouTube page does a lot of Nurburgring stuff, and they have called out cars going fast around the ring before. So it's not a reliable source, but it's also not the most unreliable, if that makes any sense. So I'll walk you through sort of like the sleuthing that has gone down since.
Well, it's a big enough source that I've heard it's been kind of published now. Like media outlets have gotten a hold of it. It's not a YouTube channel claiming it. Like people are picking it up. So it's
right.
gotten
And most of the media that you see running with it, it's based off of this one video.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like I said, the reasons why you should is the fact that their whole 641 and change is on an iPhone.
Oh.
Right? So it's not like official timing.
It's my favorite way to time things in my life, honestly.
Now, that being said, I am willing to give them a plus minus of 3 seconds. Still makes it faster than the Corvettes.
Agreed.
And I'm working, I don't know if you want to call it blind adoration or being a Mustang simp or any of that sort of stuff. I'm working under the assumption that 2 Mustang GTDs did in fact go around the Nurburgring faster than the fastest thing Chevy officially has sent around the ring. But
yes, if you go off this, yes.
There's a lot of different things. Number one, we're not sure the tire it was on.
Oh, see, like that's a big difference too. If you're running a slick of any sort,
it looks like a Spicy Michelin of some assortment. We can't get the numbers on it because a quote-unquote road legal tire has a wide variance.
Well, right, but I mean the stock tires on the GTD are pretty freaking sticky.
Right. That's number one. So, like, we're not verifying the tire. There's always the elephant in the room that the Corvette sent a bunch of engineers around to set those times. Engineers with racing experience, I might add. They're not the fastest of drivers, but they're also not, I'm going to drive the Corvette today kind of person.
Right. You have to I would be nervous as hell to drive on the Nurburgring. Like, and I have a lot of experience doing a lot of different things, and I would be like, I'm not going out on this track without like an instructor for a long time.
Well, chances are you wouldn't be allowed on the track.
No, but you know what I mean? Like,
because they made Max Verstappen do it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is like, I would go out onto like tracks like, okay, favorite track from video game, Laguna Seca. I know every turn of that track, and it's pretty easy to memorize because it's this big. With the Nurburgring, it's just like so much mental stuff on that track that it's the fact that they were out there pushing it at all is impressive. So, yeah, continue.
So that's the one thing. Now, we do know that Mustang GTDs are going to go back on sale. They're having a new allotment, and it is reasonable to assume that they're going to it's going to be updated. So that's why, like, I think this thing gained so much steam.
Which really is, by the way, that's not the subject right now, but that really has to chap the ass of everyone who gets the GTD 0.1. They spent the money, they got the allocation, and all of a sudden, not that long after they come out, and it's better. That sucks. Right,
but I could also make the argument of how many companies do this with the top. There's the top, then there's the slightly topper, then there's the slight topper, right? Case in point, like the C. Let's just use the let's use the C6 Corvette as an example, right? Like, you had the Z06 return, and everybody thought, holy crap, that's going to be that.
That's the big
there's
one.
no way it could, that's it. And then the ZR1 comes along, right? Like,
Right.
you know, look, I get it. I understand when you're spending over $300,000 on a Mustang, you kind of want it to be
That's the be all and end all Mustang.
the king dingling of Mustangs.
For longer than a year is all I'm saying. I mean,
Right.
trust me, as a Hellcat owner who bought pre-Demon, I was also like, this is the coolest. This is as cool as this is ever going to get. And then they brought out the Demon. I was like, oh, damn it. Even though those are totally different things, and like the Demon's like pretty much just a drag car, whereas the Hellcat could do more. It was just always going to be that thing of, yeah. So I mean, you get it if
Demon,
you get it.
the Red Eye, like
Right.
hell, even towards the end, I think their runs, the base Hellcat engine started making a little more power.
Yeah.
That sort of a thing.
But that's normal. That's a normal progression of like they made a ton of those. I'm just saying once you get up into the I bought a car that I had to be invited to buy and I had to spend $400,000 on a Mustang. I want it to be the top Mustang for a bare minimum of 5 years.
Or have the OEM tell me
By the way,
what
we've
the
got something coming down
production
the
run
line.
is going to be.
Yeah, or they go, hey, do you want to be one of the first ones? This is going to be really cool. Just to let you know, we are working on another version of this that will be better, but you can't get it right now. If you let me know that, and I
who
still
knows, there
choose
might
to buy,
be,
sure.
if this is truly quote unquote an Evo kit to where it's bolt-on stuff, the option to have yours, I'm not saying
Converted.
you upgrade it, right? Like, I don't know, but
Not to put more workload on it, but I get what you're saying. Like the option to have your car sent back to Multimatic and converted to an Evo for a fee, or whatever, but and it still be legit. I would accept that a bit more so than. By the way, this is the new GTD, and the old ones are just old news now.
right, but I don't. And also, there's a thing you have to understand too. Not you necessarily, but the general world at large. And that is, we're talking about the Nurburgring. It is 14 miles, thereabouts.
There's a lot of things that can happen.
Not so much that, but when people see 10 seconds faster or 11 seconds faster or whatever, you have to understand that the Nürburgring is not a normal racetrack. Case in point, the road course at Daytona is 2.6 miles. Laguna Seca is right around, I think, 3, maybe 4 at most.
I would be surprised if it's,
So it's not like that's the track. It's doing that kind of time. Just having a better weather day, better temperatures, and a clear run and no moisture in the air or on the surface of the track could very well explain all of this. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying I'm 99% sure when Ford did their run, it wasn't 100% perfect conditions. But again, I'm not trying to defend.
It's also like never perfect. I don't know if I've rarely seen photos over there where it's not at least overcast.
And not for nothing, the time of year that they're doing this. When this video came out, NLS1 was like a week or two after it. No, this was this last week? Might have been last week or 2 weeks ago. Either way, it was right around the same time as NLS1, which is the endurance series that races at the Nürburgring. It's what Verstappen raced in. It's what the BMW wagon raced in, etc. That was snowed out. So, like, it's
wild.
The Eifel Mountains have weird weather. So, like, there's so many different factors at play to where, and the only reason I say all of this is to where there's just enough of a wisp of legitimacy. I'm not saying it's completely legit. I'm not saying that. But there's just enough of it to where you could sort of connect the dots and make it make sense. Especially if you're looking to put something on the internet and get clicks.
For sure. I'm right there with you.
And then lastly, and I think the biggest thing is there's rumors floating around, and a lot of people who looked at this and heard this and really analyzed it from as much as you can analyze a guy shooting a video on even if it's a halfway decent camera, it's still, the audio is what the audio is, right?
Yeah.
And that is some people are saying that it's a different blower on the car.
Oof.
So to give you an idea, the blower on the Predators is a 2.8 liter supercharger.
Yeah.
Not to backtrack, but all of the 800 plus horsepower S650 Mustangs, the Shelby, the RTR, the I'm forgetting, but you know how there's a bunch of those dark horses with blower kits attached to them.
Sure.
Those are all using a 3 liter Whipple.
Okay.
So
0.2 liters bigger than the current
but I mean,
thing, but it makes a big difference. It's like, I mean, it's one of the key factors that made the Demon make more horsepower than the Hellcat. It was a bigger blower. I mean, it's just science. Yeah.
So when you consider that this thing, when these were making like 830 somewhere in that neighborhood, it's not out of the realm of possibility to say a bigger blower with a tune revision, you're closer to 900, right?
Yeah. It's not crazy to me. So I love that the analysts are like, the whine is different from the video. Like you can tell it's a deeper, hollower whine, which means it's got bigger displacement.
Well, I think it was actually the opposite because like it was just louder.
Yeah,
so it made
I'm
more
sure. No, I know.
Like, I know what you're trying to say.
I just love when people overanalyze things and get to that conclusion. You're like, okay, that was a stretch. But no, but I also believe it because it would be silly if all they changed was aero,
Right.
If they really were making or even working on a different version of the car, certainly they would tweak more than just that.
And the thing that sort of gives the bigger blower or the Whipple supercharger theory credit, I feel like we're talking about like aliens.
I know, and now I didn't know how like loose this record was. I thought this thing was airtight, and I'm kind of like, I was like, oh, this makes my argument a little easier. But no, I'm fascinated. I'm glad you are presenting the facts as they are.
But yeah, because let me just back.
And I'm right there with you. I don't even care about the time that much. I do think that with an iPhone, you're still within 3 seconds. That's being pretty generous.
Right.
So I'm not even denying the time method. It's just like it's these other things where you're like, okay, well, who was it? Yeah.
Yeah, like the last two things I'll say on it. Before, we have to mop up the Corvette owner's tears. Is part of the other reason why the Whipple thing has credence is there's a blue Mustang around that's been seen at the ring with a Whipple on it. Like,
it would be cool. I'm honestly surprised it hasn't happened sooner, knowing how the relationship of people whippling Mustangs and how long that's been going on, that there hasn't been a factory collaboration there. Like, I mean, think about it. Forever. I mean, friggin', 03 SVTs and stuff like that, people were whippling.
Well, there's actually, I don't know, it's not a specific model, but it is a specific thing at certain certified dealerships to do the work.
Because Eaton supplied their blower for a long time.
Yes. I think.
Is it still their supplier? I do not know who makes the blower now. I know
I believe it's Eaton.
SVT, Cobras, and like the Lightning were Eaton blowers for sure. I imagine it was the same on first gen GT500s, but I don't know. Like 2013 when they way bumped the power on the GT500, I don't know if that was still the case because I'm not. I only have enough room in my noggin for my Corvette autism, and loose knowledge of of blue oval stuff.
Yeah.
And then I got to keep track of all the European stuff. It's just
not to mention there's an entire ward of your brain reserved solely for things that happened before 1939.
Exactly. And then all the pre-war stuff that, like I said, I keep finding out how much I don't know about that from guys who own, like older dudes who only do pre-war stuff. And they'll be like, yeah, the 1928 Hudson didn't have this, but the 1926 do. So I was like, I don't have room for that. I don't know about that. I don't know year-to-year specifics of brands that nobody knows about. I just know, yeah.
But and then yeah, you'd think being able to Google who makes the supercharger on the Ford Mustang GTD would bear more fruit, but
I would think that too. Either way, I mean,
I don't want to get bogged down searching for it.
no, I just was curious, like, so that I think what you're leading to is if everything is correct and everybody's right, that the newer version of the GTT would be whippled from the factory.
Actually, I was going the other direction, like completely.
They're testing that displacement level, and then they're going to develop their own.
Well, the dots I'm trying to connect is that there was a blue Mustang GTD spotted with a Whipple 3-liter at the Nurburgring. My thought is, could this potentially just be someone like a Misha Calderon?
Yeah.
Driving some dudes like, hey, I put a Whipple on mine. Like,
which is
it's
just
not
wild.
a Ford thing. But then when Ford was asked about all of this, they repeated the game on. Like, they didn't.
It's decent marketing, is what I would say there.
You know, they didn't deny it. They sort of leaned in it.
Right, which is smart. But okay, it's so I have some things about that, which I'm not. Listen, the world of rich people is crazy. I mean, the hyper rich is crazy. It's so wild to me to think that a guy who spends over $300,000 on a Mustang is like garage modding it. I know that that's not what it would be, but it's like I would just be like, I've spent over 300 grand on this. I'm not going to change the supercharger. Like, it just seems like once you get to a certain price point in a car, it seems like people stop effing with it as much.
I mean, if I had that money, I'd absolutely be putting a bigger blower and the manual in it.
For sure. Like, no, trust me. If I had infinite money and I have money to have American car in Germany at all, it's a different level of thing. So I got to remember that. But it's like, you can wrap your mind around somebody spending 50, 60 grand on a car and messing with it. It's just like that seems less and less likely because like I'm thinking about it as terms of a regular-ish person where it's like if I were to spend $300,000 on a car, I'd be like, this is my most expensive car by a large margin. I am going to, take care of it and not mess with any of it like it's stuff because I stretched myself to be able to buy it. This is crazy already. That's not going to change anybody from doing crazy stuff. It's just like, man, it's hard to believe that some guy is out there like doing, you know what I mean?
Right. But on the flip side, you also have guys out there modifying McLarens.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, yes, but then I also think
there's
if 300 grand wasn't a big deal to me, I would modify it. So
right. That's the thing.
Yeah. So then I have to go right back into there. It's like, I'm looking at the person who could just barely afford the 300 grand. He made it work.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of money to him. And like, let's not screw this up.
Right. I mean,
yeah, I know. But
on the flip side, as I'm sure you're sick of hearing me say, excuse me, the Predator is a fairly stout platform.
Undoubtedly, just like the new 6.7 liter GM motor.
Yes, with all of its boosted features that we've seen so far. No,
yeah.
Let me put it this way: just based on the cooling alone in that thing, I'm willing to bet you could probably make some pretty serious power on it. And then, according to Google, it says it's a version of the Eaton TVS R2650 supercharger. But according to Peanut on YouTube, oh hey, that makes sense. Whipple,
because he's in the gallery.
Well, it's P_nut. So like,
oh, that's funny.
It's like,
oh no, the Whipple makes it for the Ford G. That does make sense. And I do wonder if Ford has some sort of ongoing contract with Eaton or something.
Well, the other thing is that with specific dealers like I said, with the specific dealers, you can go to your Ford dealer, tick an option, and if they're certified to do so, they'll bolt a blower to your Mustang.
Right.
And it keeps the warranty and all this other sort of stuff.
Yeah, even one of our big Ford dealers will do that too. The short bed F-150s.
Those things are hilarious.
You can always get an all-wheel drive short bed F-150 whippled at the dealership. Everything like ready to go.
That is a fantastic way to have such a car that'll just routinely tens in the quarter.
It's crazy. Yeah, dude, I forgot. I think I told you this is a quick sidebar. We were filming Car Trek, and we were on the beach in Galveston, and we were doing something, and a car was rolling down. It's like I said, it's like the beach you can drive on, so it's not really exactly sunbathing out there. But there was a guy coming, and I had to break the shot and run up there and kind of stop him. And it turned out he was in one of those. It was an old guy in a work truck spec, short bed F-150 with Steelies still.
Oh yeah, well, they actually make the wide Steelies.
That's cool
for the guys to want to keep that sleeper look because
it's so cool. I love it. Like I wish Chevy doesn't even make a short bed anymore. I don't think you can get a sports side anything.
Imagine Ford's like quadruples down on that and it becomes a step side.
Well, dude, they should. And I mean, it's been a thing. I mean, even Doug DeMuro's brought it up. GM is so behind on making a performance off-road SUV. It's insane. You know, like, or truck. It's like they see how well the Raptor does and they're like, we'll put some stickers on a Silverado, okay? How about that? Like the ZR2 is nowhere near like a Raptor, and yet they're like, I mean, like it's not like they don't have the resources or the engine, transmission, suspension combo to make it work. They're just like, we're just not going to go into that. That is frustrating as hell to me.
Toyota's they could going to beat them to the punch too.
Yeah,
with the
they pretty much already have. I mean, all of the TRD stuff is it's just it's infuriating that like the market is right there. The evidence is there, you know, unlike the manual transmission thing. It's like everyone's saying, hey, people love this and people are willing to spend big money on this. Yes. I mean, a Raptor R is it's a 6-figure truck. I mean, I don't even know you can get one. It starts at like 120.
Yeah.
TRXs, same kind of deal.
Same thing.
You could make a supercharged, put the old LT4 in a Silverado and put Fox suspension on it and sell it.
Right. And here's the thing. I honestly think that they could even. I said it's the same thing with like the Camaro, like I talk about with like the Camaro. I think there is a certain spot in the market where someone could get a Camaro that I think the fact I really like the direction Ford has gone with the Mustangs pushing, like they have nobody to play with, so now they're going after Corvettes, right? Like, which has never been the Mustang's lane ever.
Right.
To where now they're expensive. They've sort of started pricing themselves out of it.
Right.
And the only competition to the Mustang is a 4-cylinder Mustang. To where I think Chevy, if they just came in and like, again, I understand there has to be things like you have to figure out where production's going to take place, how you're going to do this. But I genuinely feel there's a market if Chevy could just identify the fact that, okay, nobody likes the new Charger. Like, not a single soul. Anyone who says they do is lying.
Yep.
And the Mustang's getting too expensive. We could slot in and be $5-10 grand cheaper with a V8.
And a manual.
Yeah, I mean.
Maybe.
Oh, well, knowing GM, they'll be like, we wish Tremec hadn't shown off the TR6060 that they've been making for 13 years.
That'd be so funny. They're like, Tremec actually doesn't make a manual that will work in this configuration. You're like, yes, they do. It's like, no, they don't. They don't. And we asked, and they can't do it. So, anyway, this is the transmission.
Oh my God! Like,
I would love so much if they claimed they can't do front engine. Like, just that would be great. I would love that.
It's like, well, we changed the bell housing again. Sorry.
Yeah.
But like, if you were to apply that to a truck, like I don't even think like. Granted, you'd want that sort of halo truck to just show that you're serious, sort of thing, and people think of that trickle down, right? Like people look at a ZR1 Corvette and think, "Wow, I'll never afford that." But I might be able to afford a regular Corvette.
The regular one. Exactly.
And therefore, the tech in that has trickled down into this. Like, but if they could just make a naturally aspirated V8 off-road truck that's right around 450, maybe if we're feeling salty, 500, maybe. Doesn't have to be.
Say, put that new 6.7 in an off-roady truck.
They're like, well, we don't have any other transmission, so it's getting the Corvette transmission.
I would love a dual clutch truck. It'd be sick. I mean, it can't tow anything. But
Well, I was thinking more along the lines of the first ever pickup truck with a transaxle.
yeah, that too. Yeah, so it's like there's be a lot of funniness about it, but it'd be cool.
Oh, I think it'd be
You know?
hilarious. But like, the point is that again, what are your other options? Really, it's some variation of the Rebel, which from Dodge, which
The Ram Rebel did do good things. Like it looks like the TRX. It's dirt cheap.
yeah, I mean,
Pretty
not for
cool.
nothing.
A lot of people want that.
One of the coolest, like when Dodge announced, or Ram, whatever, as our comment section always likes to correct us. Technically, it's just a Ram now. It's not a Dodge.
Yeah, well, for a couple of years, it wasn't the Dodge Viper either. It was the SRT Viper.
Yeah.
Who cares? It's still a Dodge Viper.
Yeah.
It's also not the Miata anymore, or whatever. It's like,
Yeah, whatever. Like,
it doesn't matter. It is.
Like when they announced the TRX, but like sort of quietly under the radar announced that the 2500 Rebel was now going to be available with the Cummins, the Common Rail 6.7. I was like, ooh, I have absolutely no need for that and would absolutely just not, it's not necessary. I want it.
Yeah, exactly.
But like that truck that has the NA V8 that has the off-roading prowess, more specifically has the presence, and that V8 provides the correct soundtrack as opposed to an ego boost. In the
Right, like I
Raptor.
said when you were stepped away, I was like, because the Gen 2 Raptors it got back because they looked so aggressive, and then they just.
Yeah, which is why there's an entire aftermarket about putting Gen 2 bedsides and front
Onto the
fenders
6.2
on the
first
first gen.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But like, who knows? Like, I mean, GM's in such a weird place because, like, one of their biggest marketing endeavors in motorsport is NASCAR. If they don't make a car that competes in NASCAR, yeah, it's still the Camaro. Whoop-de-doo. You can't go buy a new Camaro.
Right, it's
Like,
there's a lot there.
and everybody clamoring, oh, it should be a Cadillac.
I do want to get back to the Nurburgring thing because that's our main subject. I forgot I derailed us here.
Right. So I'll just summarize my thoughts and then I'll just kick it to you. So like this way,
Yeah, well, I want to
quick
bounce
refresher
back
from the tangent we went.
Sure.
I saw the video. I have no doubt that there's a pair of ridiculously fast GTDs going out on the Nürburgring. I have no doubt that they bested the time that the GTD previously did. I don't know what that time is because obviously the timing methodology was someone's thumb. No, Peanut. A pickup truck with 13-to-1 compression does not sound like a good idea unless it's a diesel.
Yeah, that's true.
The Mustang, but do I think it's officially Ford? I think there might be some chance where Ford was out there doing things, testing things. I do also think that if Ford actually did set the time, enough time has passed that we would have heard something. I also don't think these were necessarily stock GTDs in the sense that we know them. I feel that there was a bigger supercharger on them. They were making more power. Obviously, there's aero updates, all that sort of stuff. As much as I want to sit here and say, haha, Corvette, you stink.
I know you do.
Again, it's the same thing. Like, they just unlocked the ZR1 and the Z06 as far as HP tuners, as far as being able to tune the things. And with downpipes, they were getting redonkulous horsepower. Granted, you have to run it on spicy fuel.
Yeah. But
because apparently with those engines, GM
safety.
is right at the limits of 93 from factory, which I love and I hate, right? So I think there's something going on. I wouldn't be surprised if Ford announces something within the next month or 40 days, somewhere in that neighborhood, and you'll see something a little more official than this. But let me put it this way. At the end of the day, I think it makes for good interneting. I can't
always down for more of that.
call it legit. Like I can't. So, but that being said, even though it may not be official, Corvette boys should be shaking in their booties.
Okay. And I hear you. I will. It's gonna be hard. I have several points, and they're gonna be scattered because I don't have any of this written down. I think you're on. I believe in you. I think you're onto something with a few things. First of all, I appreciate more than anything your candidness of not coming onto this podcast being like, "Ha ha, we beat you by like 8 seconds," and all we had to do
closer
was
to 10.
Close, whatever. Okay, thank you. Well, all we had to do was put some like more aggressive aero and aero discs on our rear wheels. I think. Sorry, I've got cat butt now. She just turned 16 like yesterday, so she's an elderly gal. What I was going to say is, I think you're also right on. If this was Ford themselves, I think it's odd that they wouldn't take credit for it. I think they would be the first to be like, hey, we did it. Now, I'm also going to say this with a little caveat there, because I do recall, not the specifics, but something similar around the time of the Viper ACR coming out, the last of the 5th gen, is that there was never really an official time from Dodge on the ACR, that it was somebody. Right, but it's like somebody brought one out there and did it and set a time, but it was like everyone was always like, oh yeah, and it was faster than this and that and this and that and this and that. Like, okay, and that's great, but it was like for some reason it just never held the same amount of weight because Dodge themselves didn't do it.
Right. Although that didn't stop Porsche from claiming the manual car record and extrapolating Dodge's lap time. And they're Porsche engineers, so I'm pretty sure they're mathed. But
sure,
yeah,
but like I said,
again, Dodge never like.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like there was a little bit of funniness there. Like I'm wondering if this is that, like where it's like some guys really did, and as I said, I have no doubt in the time and no doubt that it happened. It's just that it's the officialness, and I think when one manufacturer can officially tell the other manufacturer to suck it, is really when it's like I said, when one of them is like, this was us. We did this. We were 100% behind this. It doesn't matter if it was a pro driver or an engineer. If in some way it was factory backed, is when they can go suck on that to, whatever, any other factory. Any other factory to any other factory, whether it's Porsche to Ferrari or whatever. It doesn't matter. So that's the thing where I go, all right, technically it has this. And then I go back into the core of my argument, which was, okay, yes, you have a Mustang that now, however it was achieved, that is faster than the toppest Corvette that has ever existed. And I still say, look what it took to get there. You had to build a literal race car for the streets that Multimatic has to build. Ford's not even capable of building the dang thing.
Yeah, it kind of irks me that it's Canadian.
That too. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. It's not even an American company.
It's technically an import.
Yeah. So you literally had to go to build a race car for the road, the likes of which really no manufacturer has ever gone through. I mean, I'd say the GTD is harder core than the 2nd gen Ford GT in terms of a lot of things.
What's the closest thing in our generation to a pure homologation special?
Literally, yes. Yeah. And it honestly makes homologations of the past look like just like, we're just doing this. Like this literally is like every single part of it, a race car for the road, pretty much. And yes, it's down on horsepower. Here's the other thing. Yes, the ZR1X is 1,250 horsepower. Crazy. Okay, and I love that that's possible. I was talking to my dad about it the other day, that like the Veyron was, the coolest thing ever because it can make 1,000 horsepower and still go through the drive-through. That was crazy in 2005.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy now, honestly, but it's even crazier that you can go to your Chevy dealership and get something with more horsepower that can also do that.
For technically, that's kind of like a third of the price.
Exactly. It's a third of the price of the car from 2005 still.
Yeah.
But what I was saying is there's a couple of things here. That car then also still is, I think it's, and I'm not being biased here, it's more comfortable. Like, trust me, a Corvette with mag ride is more comfortable than a lot of luxury cars I've been in the soft setting. I think the ZR1 is a much more usable car on the daily than the GTD for different reasons, especially without the ZTK or whatever they're going to call it on the ZR1 package. Without the big wing, it's a completely usable car.
Look, you and your fancy needs like a trunk, like
right. So, yeah, and then to your credit, the other thing is because I've also been the one to say that the C7 ZR1 is pushing the limits of what a front engine car can do. I do stand by that. I mean, it is pushing the limits of what a front engine car can do as far as rubber goes, and still be a regular car. Because remember, that's still had a hatchback, and all this. You had practicality. It was a regular Corvette, and that the GTD's front engine, it goes faster. But like I said, look what it took to get there. You had to give away so many things. You had to have push rod cantilever suspension. That's not those a normal car cannot fit that kind of geometry. You know what I mean? It's not it's such a standalone, unique car that also costs so much more than the car it's based off of that it's insane. Every Corvette though is still a little bit of that base. Like it is just kind of keeps it stacks. Like if you even look at it, there's nothing similar on the GTD other than the way it looks. And even then, it's like barely. I mean, it's so wide. I read the story. It was like it's so wide that it actually does need the 3 extra lights that like a TRX or too wide of trucks need. But they got around it with some loophole because it like I said, it's a totally different car. It just looks like a Mustang. It's like when you go to Monster Jam and they put the body on top of this thing, and they're like, yeah, it is a Silverado. You're like, yeah, right. This thing's just a tube chassis, with it. I know that the GTD is more than a tube chassis, but I'm just saying at the end of the day, the ZR1 is still based on a street car. They don't have to make it anywhere else. They didn't have to source it from anything else. I don't know. You know where I'm going with that. It's like I said, one is a street car, one is a hand-built race car. That is street legal.
Yes. Counterpoint.
Okay.
Look at what the Corvette had to become to do what it's doing now.
Agreed. It had to go mid-engine, which is a huge shift.
How do I put this? If there was someone, God forbid, who was in a coma since like 2019, and they woke up today and go, look at the new Corvette. They're like, what?
Oh yeah, well, there's still people out there. There are people walking amongst us that still think that.
So like, look, we've talked about it. You and I have talked about it on this show ad nauseum about the whole switch to mid-engine. The Corvette has a history of dancing with that particular layout, from the Aerovet to the Serve cars.
They've been wanting to do it for a long time, and like I said, I've made this point on this channel and other channels. I know where you're headed, and I think you're right. I think the comparison here is that if Corvette still made regular front-engine cars, even with all the different variants, and then out of nowhere they made a mid-engine one that cost $400,000 and was like basically like absolute every quality and reliability, thing out the window. Not reliability, but I mean, all the practicality gone. This is our track car, but you can buy it. That is the equivalent of what Mustang did with the GTD. They didn't go, hey, it's just a spicier version of our Mustang. It's not. It's a different car.
Right.
I said,
I totally get it. Like, we would not live in a world where a Mustang GTD exists if Ford didn't want to have the clever rear suspension in their GT3 car.
Right.
I completely understand that. But to me, I get what you're saying. Like, this is a Mustang almost in name only and like silhouette. But then again, so is every car, right? Like,
yeah, sure.
You could argue that it's a departure from what the Mustang ethos is, although what a Mustang really is like one of the more fluid things in the history of automobiles. Is it a muscle car? Is it a pony car? Is it a sports car? Is it a this? And it's like, and I think that's also part of its appeal. Um, and there's no denying that it's very much very un-Mustang. From the price tag to the suspension to the way it's built to the fact that it's and road car, but it's going to be mildly inconvenient to put a set of back golf clubs in the back, like kind of a deal.
Slash impossible because of.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I suppose you could shove it behind the seats.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, that has now become your trunk.
Yeah.
And I get all that. And I also understand, like, this is a crazy conversation to be having because the Mustang never was supposed to be attending the same social events as the Corvette. Ever.
No, they were not. The
whole point of the Mustang was to
be
a, for lack of a better way of putting it, a more affordable Corvette. Look like a sports car, have the V8 noise, but underneath it, it's a Ford Falcon.
Right.
As opposed to this bespoke sports car that's going to cost you a little more. And on the flip side, I do enjoy the fact that Nurburgring laps are being the headlines for Nurburgring laps are being dominated
by American cars. I love that too. I love that. And to your point, if I can step in here, the last real point that I have, and it's a point, first of all, everybody made it, and Gregson made it when you guys talked about this last time. But I want to expand on it a pinch. Yes, it was engineers driving the Chevy thing. But the thing is, first of all, Chevy was like proud of that. They were like, these cars can go that fast with these guys. It was almost like they just left it unsaid of imagine how fast it'll go with a dedicated, race car driver in there. And so much so that I say that because if you look at the times of the ZR1 and the ZR1X, the times, because it was two different drivers, they're like 1 second apart or not even.
Yes.
So
that I understand. That to that end, I would simply equate that to the fact that the biggest misnomer in modern hypercars, which I get, it makes 1,000 horsepower. If that's not a hypercar, I don't know what the hell is, right? But the modern misnomer in all these modern galactically powerful hypercars is, okay, peak horsepower is 12 whatever in the ZR1X, but it's very, very, very much like modern F1. Modern F1 cars make 1,000 horsepower some of the time, meaning every time you demand max power or technically max torque, you're not going to get it. So I equate the fact that the ZR1X is only a couple seconds faster is because chances are it's not at a full charge for very long during the lap, and they have to be, I don't know how deployment is determined in that, but yeah, that's what I equate. I see your point about two different drivers, two different times.
Yes, but I would also say, while you're 100% correct, as a guy who's tracked a hybrid and it was never at full power pretty much immediately, but that's because it was screaming for its life. Different deal. But I would say, as an optimistic ZR1's Corvette fan, is that what that said to me was, I think there's more left on the table with the ZR1.
100% more.
No matter what,
5 to 10 seconds with
between those two is what I'm saying. Even between those two, like take the new GTD unofficial lap time out of the equation. I'm like, so because they were so close, forgetting all the factors, there's still. It's not even a traction issue. I really don't even think it's all-wheel drive. I don't think that's what makes the difference. There is more power there, and
right. But for how long? Like that's the thing that I'm not saying it's not.
But at the same time, over a course that long, you'd think surely because the E-Ray had a mode like that where you can tell it that you're going to be on a track, and it charges and discharges proportionately. Like it hyper aggressively. Regenerates and explosively, delivers the battery charge.
I don't know enough about it to say it, but I do know there's an old adage in modifying your car that for every 100 pounds you remove from your car, the effect of it is like you're adding anywhere from like 7 to 10 horsepower. it's not that simple, but
Yes.
it's a way of illustrating power to weight being a thing. I I think the ZR1X is going to be faster around a place like Laguna Seca proportionately to the ZR1 than it would be at a place like the Nurburgring, because there's so many deploy points. There's so many points where that would make a decent straightaway on a normal racetrack, and that's just
Right.
the full plats or that's just here or whatever and everything. And
I agree, but like I said, there's also a decent amount of regen points.
that's the thing I want to know. And I guess
So-
that's what I'm trying to say is like, I want to know how much these things regen, because that's really going to tell the tale.
And I think you're 100% right. It is absolutely more geared towards a shorter domestic track, because that's realistically what you're going to use it, or if anybody uses it for that. You know, it's like,
yeah, I mean, let's
Michael's
face
in the
it,
chat. What's up, Michael? He's said some funny things.
He goes, Corvette is cooler, more bitchin', and
awesomer.
awesomer. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I think we're splitting hairs, but there was one more thing you said at the end of your Mustang point that I now have completely forgotten. But
I'm trying to think the order of my Mustang point, but
it was the last thing you said, and I don't want to get bogged down on trying to figure it out. It's just, again, not to be the old kumbaya, because let's face it, content's more interesting when I'm sitting here banging my hand against the table and saying, Elliott, you ignorant slut, you're wrong.
Yeah, you're wrong. It doesn't matter. The Mustang is faster. It doesn't matter who said it.
We make less
I know, but I'm
horsepower,
just
we
saying.
weigh more than you do, and we're faster. Here's
Yeah,
the
but
bottom
the Corvette
line.
has
Right?
mag ride and can go over a railroad crossing without breaking your back.
I have cantilever suspension, which can do wizardry. I think the biggest thing with these lap times, and it's why I'm very hesitant to say that there's a GTD that is now faster than these cars, is Haggerty and Jason Camisa did the GTD, the ZR1, and the GT3 RS. And the ZR1 was conclusively faster. Same driver, same track, same day. And these cars were as stiff. So, again, different tires, more power. Is advanced, like, look, it might have bigger dive planes and the hood vents might have these little ramp ups, but effectively, how much downforce is that adding? I'm going to go out on a limb and say not. It's going to add a meaningful amount, but not so much so that suddenly a quarter that wasn't flat out, and I'm not
Is now
talking-
flat out, yeah.
is now flat out. And I'm not talking about a corner where you're breathing the throttle. I'm talking a corner where you lift, right?
Yeah.
So like that. So, but again, the kumbaya side of things. Two American cars are thundering around the Nurburgring, or
Love it.
like, that is fantastic. Like, that is, like, again, granted, it's slightly different than it was in the past because, you know, they were not necessarily affordable, but theoretically, I could get a promotion or two and one day afford it, as opposed to now where it's like Mustang GTD. It's like, well, I'm going to need Powerball to hit.
Yeah, literally. It's, well, and you need to be invited. You can't, like I say, I will say this, it has nothing to do with the times, but the other thing is, technically, regular old Joe like me could have the pocket change and go down to the Chevy dealership and get a ZR1.
Which technically makes the Mustang more exclusive, therefore cooler, and to all your auction friends, probably more valuable.
Well, yes, I do like the snootiness of that aspect, but
Not
the other
exactly
thing
Mustang, but...
But the other thing is, you still show up to the function and everyone goes, Mustang with big wing. Same
Right.
thing with the ZR1, though. They go, whose 18-year-old customized this C8 because it has a big wing?
Right. Well, I mean,
But-
as someone who's currently weighing the options of said big wing at 42 years old,
No, I'm
just
getting up there in age, and I still appreciate the big wing.
But one thing I kind of wanted Um, one thing I did kind of want to close this out on is I think it would be like, I wonder, I just, there's a part of me that can't help but wonder, does Ford make a limited run? And I know this goes back to putting a manual in the Corvette, and the GTD's already just,
Are you going to go GTD touring with a manual?
Well, what I'm thinking is what if Ford went for the manual record that Porsche just set?
I'd love to see it. Like, I'm not even, because as a not Ford guy, I would love to see an American manufacturer go after.
I think that would be, I don't know, like, there's so many things about, like, I think there's so many, like, I'm very curious to see what the Dark Horse SC, ridiculously stupid name.
It is stupid, and there's so many things I think about that. But also, back to my point, I would say if they made some variant of that get close to the ZR1, that I'd be like, okay, this is a conversation, because that's still a Mustang. Like, it started as the car, and it has extra stuff on it now. This is not like, oh yeah, blank slate, totally different car. We're just calling it the Mustang. If you made some sort of Dark Horse SC track edition that got close to the ZR1, I'd be like, all right, that's that. Those are apples to apples there. But
the best part about this is seeing Corvette guys squirm, and like, I don't disagree with you.
I know, and I hate being the guy being like, technically, it's not really a production Mustang.
It's a very legitimate.
I'm not that guy. I don't feel that way. I just am saying.
But what I'm saying,
look at what it took to get there.
But like, on the flip side, it's like, as the Mustang guy, the Mustang guys are always the guys at nipping at the Corvette guys' heels. You know, like, we're like you, and it's not like Corvette guys are like these some, like, you know, hedge fund billionaires, right? Where like a Ferrari snoot. But it's always been, the Mustang's been the little brother, and that's been its place, and that's been
100%.
You know, and it carved a really nice niche out of that. But yeah, like,
I know, I get it what you're saying.
It's just it's an odd one.
It's an odd one, and like I said, I think as a positive ending point, I'm happy we're here. I'm happy that it's that this is even possible to have this conversation, because if you told me this back in 2006, that, you know, like, oh, there's a Mustang knocking on the Corvette's door, I'd be like, yeah, right. You know, it was like, because the Z06 was stomping everything. You know, the C6 Z06, it was like, this is unreal what this car's capable of. And then if you were like, even if somebody goes, well, my Mustang is like, the Mustang hasn't even thought of close to the amount of traction that this thing's capable of. And now we're here.
What the hell?
Have a good night. Have a good night, Sean.
What was the other one? But at any rate, there were two instances of back when, like, the 5th gen Camaro was dead, where the Mustang's like, maybe we should go after the Viper and the Corvette. And that's how, like, the mod motor V10, not the Triton V10, but like a custom mod motor V10 was made in a new Edge. Like, one of the craziest things. And then there was another one that I'm forgetting. But, like, yeah, it's just, we live in an era. And, like, that's a good and a bad thing, right? Like, Mustang guys can be like, roll up to the Corvette guys and make them nervous. Not nervous from, like, a, you know, usually the Mustang guys were in a worse off financial state like that, but like from a performance standpoint.
Yes.
But on the flip side, the regular Mustangs are starting to become, they're not where the Corvette was price wise, but they're inching closer to that.
Oh, I know.
Which I don't like. Because the Mustang's supposed to be obtainable.
I option a Mustang the way I want it, like just a GT, and it turns out it's like in the 60s. I'm like, this is stupid. Shouldn't be this much. I mean, and I'm also coming from the green where I think a C6 Corvette costs $45,000. You know, like I'm like, well, that's how much a Corvette is, and you're like, nope, they're $90,000. It's like I've got to still adjust my stuff to where a car from '08 is actually old I keep thinking I'm like, man, it's not too bad.
It's
Yeah,
almost
like
20 years old.
I know, but like in my mind, I'm like,
same thing.
It's a pretty modern car. Like,
Yeah, like
it's wild.
Like, and that's part of like, there's all the good that comes of this, and like, again, Corvette was the affordable American sports car.
Lee Iacocca would roll in his grave if you told him there was going to be a Mustang that cost more than an airplane one day. He'd be like,
right.
He's like, that fucking ruins the point. That was not the point.
When did you stop putting it on a Falcon?
Yeah, I was like, what happened?
And like, here's the biggest issue with the S650 is the S550. Because same basic underpinnings.
Yeah.
Same basic bottom end of the engine. The heads are slightly different, and obviously the Dark Horse intake manifold has.
And see, like I said, but only a Mustang expert knows those things.
You know,
like in my mind, I'm like the Mustang is still on the same thing from 2015. I'm like, that's what we're riding on right now.
Right. Well,
and we kind of are.
We are, because it's still an S550 chassis.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I'm like, whatever. And it also, back to the beginning of the cast, it's reminded me, because again, I don't know the difference. I forget. I just know there's incremental horsepower bumps, and I don't even remember currently what we're up to. But that was one of the things in the Resto mod, which I should have sent you more pictures. But at Barrett Jackson, all of the Continentals that would have Coyote swaps, it was very thing. It was like, this one has a Gen 2 Coyote, this one has a Gen 1 Coyote, this one has a Gen 3 Coyote. And April was always asking me, she's like, well, what's the difference? And I'm like, just say Coyote. It's that the important part is that it's modern.
Wait until you see someone who's done a 3-2-1 build. Gen 3, just so you know, Gen 3 short blocks, so you get the slightly bigger displacement.
Gen 2 heads, and then like Gen 1 intake or something like that.
Well, Gen 2 heads, because no direct injection, just port. The Gen 3 has port and direct injection. Same with the Gen 4 that's in the S650. Gotcha. And then Gen 1 accessory drive.
I can't believe that got worse as they went on. But apparently it did.
It's just, if you were to build a budget junkyard Coyote, that's the route you would go, because you don't want the direct injection, because that's complication for whatever you're swapping it into. Definitely. And the accessory drive literally hasn't changed. All you got to do is swap. Probably, if you're getting Gen 1, you're probably going to want to look at replacing the oil pump. But at the very worst, just do oil pump gears and crank sprocket, and you send it. And then the Boss 302 intake manifolds now are like $400-$500.
Oh, dude, those are cool too,
right?
And big,
like, and another $200, get them ported, and you're close to the. At any rate,
yeah, I know, getting derailed. I'm just saying,
like I said, I could do you could probably do the same thing between like pick a number between the LSs. The last thing I want to say about the Coyotes, though, is where it gets really confusing is when you start introducing the Roadrunner from the Gen 1, which is the Boss 302 engine. So that has forged internals, better. Think Voodoo with how they machine the heads.
Yeah.
The 302 intake manifold. And like, those are, let me put it to you this way. The Boss 302 crank, they've made 2,000 horsepower, no problem with it.
Jeez.
Factory Ford part. Like that's like, I understand it with like, what do you mean at Gen 1? Like, we're up to Gen 4. Oh, sorry. One last thing about this, and then we'll kind of close out everything, because I think this is the most hilarious thing about the Coyote family of V8s. Up until, I think, 2021.
Sorry, I just got a huge flash of lightning.
Did someone start a Corvette next to you? I heard that.
Oh, wow. My God.
But I think the thing you'll find the most hilarious about the Coyotes is, up until like, I think it's 22, not going to get into the minutia of it, the truck engines were different internally. So that either lower compression, different pistons, different rods.
It makes good sense. It makes good sense.
And starting with, I think, 2020, again, I forget where it is, but in the Gen 3 truck, the short block identical to the Mustang. Same piston, same rod, same crank, same block, everything. 12-to-1 compression. The head castings, identical. Only major difference was intake manifold, throttle body, and cams. Well, you think
Are they really 12-to-1?
Yeah.
Wow.
Gen 1 and Gen 2 are 11-to-1 in the Mustang variants.
And you're thinking 13-to-1's too high.
Well,
it's only, I know. I know.
Well, here's the thing: the Gen 3s have issues with the rings failing, and what's that usually? High compression. Just saying. That's what killed mine. But the hilarious thing about all of this is, if it is, let's just say, a Gen 3 truck engine, you would think, okay, Chad told me the short block is identical to a Mustang's. I'm just going to plop this engine into a Mustang, put the right intake manifold on it, and or whatever, and be good. And you know what would happen? The ECU would freak out, if not grenade the engine, because for reasons only known to Ford, the truck engines have a different firing order.
Well, that's insane. Yeah, that's crazy. I get everything else you said until that. There's no reason. Don't reinvent the wheel here.
And most a lot. I shouldn't say most, but a lot of hardcore Coyote guys say the truck engines sound better, and I consider myself one of those.
Well, okay, but the LS guys do the same thing for the LQ motors for all the various different reasons. But I'll tell you that they did not change the firing order.
But that's the thing. And what makes it even crazier is it's the same crank, so it's literally,
there's no need for it. They just did.
Stroke,
yeah.
That's one of the things that if I can ever get a Ford guy on it. But
I would love to ask somebody behind that process that. And then now also, if you can even picture this level of autism that we're going into about minutia of each thing, of how me walking April around Bear Jackson, doing this to Corvettes, that how much got cut out different things. And she's just like, it's just so funny to do. And the same thing with my other co-host in Indiana. I do anything. She's like, how do you know that? I'm like, and my excuse is always just I've given up a lot of other things that would probably take.
Well, it's like anything else in life. If you have a passion for it, I know that passion for Corvettes, you're going to do more research.
Exactly.
And it's not even research. It's just, I'm interested in this, right?
I'm interested. And so I just absorb it. The point where you're just yeah, but it's just funny to talk like we just talked in front of a pretty girl of any sort,
right?
From any place, and then they're just kind of wow, and you're yeah, spent a lot of time on this actually.
Yeah, I mean, at least you got a girl, right? For me, it's you
got Greg.
Just see them start to nod and be like,
oh, okay, I was gonna say,
it's why you're single now.
Oh no! Oh God! I wouldn't even do this on a date. I'd just be I like cars. Is how I would
oh
yeah.
Absolutely no idea. I'd be on a date and an F-150 drive by. I go, that has a Mustang engine that has a different firing order.
Oh no!
Why are you running?
Yeah, I can't sit anywhere that's anywhere that has a porch or a deck or anything like that, because I'm instantly anything that makes the slightest enthusiast level of noise, I'm looking. And it's are you not into this? I'm no, it's just that something could have, yeah.
It's oh man, what the hell was it? I forget. But at any rate, about 2.5 hours. Time just flies by when Elliott's on the show. I want to thank, first off, everyone commented, shared, did all that fun stuff. And more importantly, well, not more importantly, because without you guys, there is no show.
That's true.
It's just me talking to myself, and that's kind of boring. I do also want to, though, big ups. Thank you, Elliott. Thank you for, I don't even want to say filling in for Greg, replacing him for the week.
Thank you. It's fun to be here. I really do enjoy being on the show, and every time you ask me, as long as I literally don't have something actively happening, I love to be on. It doesn't even feel like a thing. It's hanging out. Let's chat. It's fun.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's exactly it. It definitely fulfills that vibe of This could easily have been a conversation, us sitting in lawn chairs in a garage looking at your car.
Exactly. Yep. And that's the bet. That's what people love podcasts for. So
exactly, and that's kind of what we go for here. However, I didn't mention this at all in any of the briefing or when I asked you.
Okay.
And I don't even know if we've asked you to do this before. But we typically now end the shows with Greg gives his dad advice for the week. You are a father of children.
I am a father.
Father of dragons, I guess.
That's funny.
So, don't have to overthink it. Send us off with your best dad advice for the week.
Immediately off the bat, pee before you go to bed.
There you go.
I know it's so simple, but it's gonna make a big difference in your evening / morning.
Exactly. But once again, thank you to everyone. Thank you to Elliott. And guys, we will catch you next week, more than likely with a Gregson returning.